gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes sir. Then again I'm falling. Sometimes I'm gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes sir. Then again I'm falling. Let Jesus work it out. Please your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Oh, work it out. You work it out for Mother Teresa. Sometimes I'm gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes sir. Then again I'm falling. Sometimes I'm gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes sir. Then again I'm falling. Let Jesus work it out. Please your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Oh, work it out. You work it out for Mother Teresa.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. David Patrick Carey with Church of the Eternal Logos, and I am joined by my friend, my godson, and naturopathic doctor, Michael Moeller. How you doing today, brother? You celebrating Juneteenth? You
I'm
out in the
trying,
streets?
bro.
You getting your George Floyd celebration on today?
Hey, I'm trying. We'll just say that. But we already ranted. I was a history major, and that grinds my gears. The whole, slavery was legally, federally, it was legally allowed in the North up until ratification of the 13th Amendment. So that whole war was fought, and slavery was still legal in the North. So, but you got to welcome me with the whole, hey, my godson, how you doing? Yeah, we got to do some live streaming.
It sounds like we're in the mob.
Yeah.
Hey, how we doing? This is my godson.
Yeah.
He's a naturopathic doctor. You need
That's
peptides.
right.
You need testosterone.
You need the good stuff, man. We can figure it out for you, you know?
So today's going to be a fun stream. We are going to be diving into the strange, quirky, oftentimes homoerotic world of Lookmaxxing. In fact, I got a video of Clavvicular, was Brendan Peters, I believe is his real name, one of the most considered the number one Lookmaxxer in the world, talking a little bit about his peptide and drug stack that he takes, of which there is tons of stuff they're on, of which he's probably infertile right now based on how early he took some of these drugs in his life. So we're going to be looking at that. We'll be reviewing their obsession with plastic surgery. And it's not just clavicular. I don't know if some of you guys have dove into this very strange rabbit hole. There's another guy from Australia named Androgenic, who was considered number 2 Lookmaxxer in the world, of which he was actually bald, or at least going bald on top, and wears a wig with a hat on top. And he also got a nose job, fat removed from his face, reconstruction of his jawline. Like, these people are obsessed with plastic surgery and altering themselves. And what do I know about Lookmaxxing? But I think Clavicular's older, regular biologic nose looks better than the new one he has on now. But who am I to say?
I missed that, right? He just had that done, right?
Yeah, he just had it done. Yeah, I think the swelling's just now going down. But I mean, what we'll be getting into is how all of this obsession with one's self-image, and we'll talk about it. There's nothing wrong with wanting to present yourself in the best way possible. There's nothing wrong with grooming, being aware of your appearance, being self-conscious, and the clothes you wear, the fashion you have. But what they do takes it to a whole new level. And it's, to me, it not only is effeminate behavior because it's a sort of female obsession with one's appearance, but it's homosexual. I mean, it's a total focusing and judging of like male physiques and male faces. And, oh, I want to have a nose like this guy. My mind has never even gone down those patterns of thought, but it's fairly popular.
Bro, you just got a really pretty nose. You if your nose wasn't as pretty, maybe you'd think about it. Right? You'd be a little more empathetic to these people. With there's a certain group of people that loves to get nose jobs, you know. So
fair enough. That is the case, it appears. But there's a lot of reasons too why young men are becoming more effeminate. So we're going to be obviously highly critical of Lookmaxxing, really the consumeristic culture of America and the West in general, of these young men essentially occupying a role very similar to a woman. But grip strength has been a long time metric on general strength amongst men. And I was finding articles. We're not going to go through any per se articles today, but the grip strength of young men, they judge between, it's like ages 21 to 27 or something was this study, all the way back to the 1970s, and found that it had dissipated quite considerably. That the grip strength, the overall strength of young men, and which is obviously going to be tied with the decline in testosterone rates that you've spoken about before.
Yeah, at the same time, I'm pretty sure grip strength is one of the longest. There was a big study for just longevity in general, like all-cause mortality. Like muscle mass and weight and all those other things. But I'm pretty sure one of the best markers for long-term health is just basic grip strength. And it's interesting because, right, we had a lot of these conversations when we were in Montana.
Yeah.
And right, the one question that does come up over and over for young men in the atrocity that's like the modern day dating world is like, what do you do? So it does seem to me there's a hyper correction of becoming more and better.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, 6 foot, 6 figures, 6-pack. Now it's like 7 foot, 7-pack, 7 figures, and I think that's what we see, for these young men who are competing and they're trying to find a mate. I mean, we'll end up talking about hormones and how that affects the dating, feminism, etc. But we do definitely see, I think, an overcorrection. And at the end of the day, from, I would say, our perspective, it's great. I want to look good. You know, I'm trying to find a mate. I don't want to show up and have my hair being a mess, you know, being overweight if I don't need to be. Those all are markers as a man, having the ability to be disciplined, to show up, to be financially successful and provide. The issue for a lot of these guys, it just becomes like a weird idol. It's like, how far are you taking this and where are you taking this? And then for most women, it's very strange. You know, we didn't even really chat before the stream about the dad bod phenomenon. You know, there does seem to, for women, that's not as big as a deal. And we see the meme. It's like the guy who's like, oh, what you think's going to happen when you go to the gym and you get big, and he daydreams. It's like all the girls coming up to him, and it ends up being the dude. Oh man, your chest looking good, King, looking good, bro. So it is like you're saying, that narcissistic tendency to focus more on the outcome instead of like why you're doing it. Like you're just trying to look good to look good, or is like, does your partner want this, or is this something that, you know, I would prefer that, yeah, I could max almost all of these things, but at the end of the day, why am I doing it? Right? Like, I'm trying to become financially successful, so when, you know, God willing, I become a husband and father, I can be flexible enough to be there for them. I'm not making money to make money. Money really does nothing for me. But if I make more money and then I can be more financially free and I can give it to the church and help people who are less fortunate, then that's what we should be focusing on. And that's health in general. That's why these things.
But even that mentality, we're going to get into it today when we watch some of these clavicular clips, is that what's the point of money? Well, you just said it's to help your community. It's to invest in your church. It's to help build things around you. Meanwhile, many of these guys don't build anything. I mean, there's a video I watched in prep of Androgenic talking about how him and Clavicular, when they were together in America, just hanging out and brainstorming about their brand and what they can do to Lookmaxxing and what they can do to get clicks. And that money is never about contributing back or serving a group of people. It's very, very self-subservient about attaining whatever their pleasures are. And of course, that's during that week was when Clavicular almost overdosed. Who knows, again, all the stuff that they were taking and doing parties, going to clubs, but the whole thing is just so superficial, right? There is really no masculine element to the Lookmaxxing worldview. I saw a clip recently of Clavicular asked about how much Lookmaxxing has helped him in his life. And he said, status maxing has helped him more than Lookmaxxing. And that because of his internet fame and the money he's had, he's noticed that that's just as effective as Lookmaxxing. Well, Lookmaxxing, one, is not even the way that men and women like relate to each other. So women do not just judge a man solely based on his physical appearance. It's very much a way that a man would judge a woman.
Yep.
And none of their stuff, 6 foot, 6 pack, you know, 6 figures, and none of it has to do with charisma. Like, did these people not see the guy in high school who was just really funny, had tons of charisma, probably a little fat, like, and yet he was able to get with some of the hottest girls? And that's true today in general society. But, you know, everybody goes to high school. I use that as the example. But for a man, status, competency, yes, the way he looks, his appearance, his put togetherness, but his charisma, his personality, that is a huge factor. And then you watch these videos of, you know, Clavicular, and he sounds like a robot.
Yeah.
Like, there really is not a whole lot of personality there. There's no charisma. And you think, God, is this an idol for some of these young kids? Like, this is not the direction that young men should be moving towards.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. You wonder if it's kind of like an overcompensation. And I know really the kind of autistic thing gets thrown around a lot. And I don't know if that's really on the upswing, like the social informality, weirdness overall. Is that due to the internet? And you get what I'm saying? Like, I usually view these things from a health perspective. Like in health, I talk to people, I'm like, your body's going to blow out at the weakest spot, right? So for every person, if that's diabetes, like if you're not disciplined, you eat too much, if you're not sleeping good, like you're right, your car is going to eventually fall apart in some way, shape, or form. So are you taking turns too hard? Or you're not changing the oil? And so I look at most things that way. Like our society is like, okay, well, what created this vacuum that all these young men are being sucked into Lookmaxxing? And I think, yeah, it has to do with one that most of them are predisposed to not looking masculine at all, right? Like
Yeah.
if you go back and look at my high school, you can see all the pictures of all the basketball players from the 50s until today, and you can see it. The
Yeah.
Adam's apples going away, the shoulders getting smaller. And
Yeah,
that's
they used
not,
to have guys with mustaches in high school.
bro, you see, there's a really funny video. I think it's like from the late 80s or 90s, and it has like Penn State, and these guys are like 23 years old and they look 45. You know what I mean?
Right.
And these guys, you know, they went to war, and there was a different
Well, and life wasn't so sedentary. It's not like they didn't sit in classes or sit at home. Of course, everybody did, but life now is so sedentary and
Yep.
everything is brought to you. Everything can be ordered. We don't realize how that affects us and the physiognomy. So we talked about grip strength. We already know testosterone is low. Fertility is incredibly low amongst Western men in particular. But the literal physiognomy of the shoulder width to the waist width, I was reading one article. I don't know how this is peer reviewed, but this was some medical professional talking about how the ratio dynamic between shoulders and waist are actually getting smaller. In a way, then men and women's physiques are becoming more similar.
Yep. I talk about this in you know, for women post-menopause, or for men we say andropause. You see that, right? Number one, as before puberty, right? Then we hit puberty and we see the differentiation between the genders. And then slowly after menopause and through andropause, right, you see, right, men and women to start to look more similar again. Now, this isn't peer reviewed. This is honestly, like, I kind of throw out some of my own opinions, but I do think from a perspective, the things that make men and women different when they are exemplified, or what's the word I want to use? Like louder, right? So like bigger shoulders will most often make men more attractive, right, than a woman, right? Bust size is another one. And then, but then you see, right, you have all these women that just like get huge bust. You know what I mean? They're,
Again, fake BBLs, fake butts.
yes,
Very much
right?
looks maxing.
Yeah. So it's a weird dichotomy that it's like, in the way, because Clavicular has, and you know, I think he got on testosterone at 14 or 15. So now he's overcompensating because his natural testosterone, if it was high, he'd have had a strong jawline, he'd have had a big shoulder. So we're getting in this really weird, you know, transhuman place where we're trying to mimic all these things. And look, people know I'm on testosterone. I've been on testosterone. And like, that's a whole other conversation, because in my opinion, the world is using things against us in a lot of these categories. So,
Yeah.
but then we do realize, like, yeah, I understand how, like, there's a tiptoe of transhumanism that's going on here, right? Okay, I got on testosterone. When your kids be on testosterone, like, I think about that. I don't have kids, but I have more and more men who are in their 40s and 50s, and they're like, hey, my son's 15, he's not developing. Should we put him on enclomiphene? I'm like, you know, what do you do? This is the same thing with fertility. I know, like IVF, all these other forms of artificial insemination. Like, what is this end game? Do we just ride it into nothing? But at the same time, I think obviously you and I are calling out the opposite end that is farly overcorrecting. So I'm just trying to get into, like, what is their mindset? If you're a 15-year-old, you're like, hey,
well, I'll tell you what I think it is. One, as I've already said, it's very gay and it's effeminate behavior, but it's a way to shortcut.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about charisma, you know, developing an interesting personality, the ability to converse with people, entertain people, if you're at a party or a group setting, that takes a little bit of a skill. And whether it be these kids that are getting into bodybuilding and they're like 19 years old and jumping on all these steroids, it's like, dude, fill your natural limits of your physique first before jumping on the drugs.
Yep.
Or, you know, Lookmaxxing. Hey, why don't you get in shape? Instead of get on retatrutide or some GLP-1, why don't you actually work out? Why don't you fill out your physique? And, you know, why don't you try weights for 2 years before you use some type of testosterone when you're 18 years old? But all that stuff is a shortcut. You see, and that's part of, again, the masculinity, is that a man actually chooses the longer route because it in time, it has return. It has value. There's meaning in the journey itself. But these kids just want to get to the end result, which naturally so. We live in a society that is about instant gratification.
Yep.
And so they're trying to instantly gratify something that actually should take time and skill and deliberate effort towards, and jump right into a place where they have money, fame, status, looks maxing. But looks maxing in particular, it's very hard to just make a bunch of money. So what Clavvicular calls money maxing, not that easy. Status maxing, another thing that he talks about, your fame, your public status, not very easy to acquire. But if you're sitting at home, and you really don't have anything going for you, looks maxing. Oh, well, you can start doing bone smashing. You can start, getting on these different peptides. And we're going to be talking a lot about peptides today, and really the health industry in general, because one of the topics we're going to be ending on, we have tons of things to get through in today's stream, is this weird obsession with fitness culture, like tracking everything, getting your Whoop band and tracking your sleep, tracking your steps, tracking your calories, tracking this, tracking that. Everything is toxic. You can't touch this. And it gets in this very anxious, paranoid world, which again, I think leads people to become more feminine. There's not a place to actually relax and just be in touch and have a strength with who you are. So the whole fitness culture is like a form of self-worship, which is not the point of fitness. The point of fitness is to be in the best shape possible. So one, you feel great. Spiritually, you're taking care of the temple of your body. But 3, you can be of service to other people. Every great man served other people in some way. Even Napoleon served the French Republic in a way of expansion and domination. So he was good for the French people, but every notable man of history, it's this looks maxing thing that it's people wanting to become famous and wealthy without really having anything that is of a competency to provide. I mean, what the most competent thing I can think that Clavvicular has in particular is I've listened to him break down female appearances or male appearances, and what's this wrong, that's somewhat interesting. It's again very superficial, very kind of gay. It's something that you would think a homosexual man would spend his time doing, judging everybody's orbital bones and their nose size and the shape of their jaw. It's like, dude, don't you have something like important to do? But he comes from a wealthy family. He comes from a family in which you can tell his parents really struggled at saying no to him. I mean, his mother found his testosterone when he's 17 years old and yelled at her, and she gave it back to him. I watched something where he's telling a story. It's so these kids, they don't even have strict disciplined parents, which the whole thing, going back to masculinity and femininity, is that masculinity is about boundaries. When boundaries are crossed, violence occurs. Mm-hmm. And in our culture, generally speaking, the analogy I always use is men are the castle walls, women and children are the jewels within, and the barbarians are always trying to get at the jewels. And Western man has become so effeminate, so ineffective, that there are no boundaries, there are no walls. And just like looks maxing, I think it is a form of proto-transhumanism. Mm-hmm. Peter Thiel, who there are some very interesting relationship connections between him and Clavvicular. I'm going to share an article when I finish. If people want to read into it, I can't verify it, so I'm not going to say all the allegations. But Peter Thiel, transhumanist, PayPal mafia member, a homosexual, been known to have a proclivity towards young white men, that he has some type of very deep relationship with Clavvicular, where he's been invited to personal private parties. Clavvicular admitted that on a point he was being recorded in which he wasn't aware, admitted that after he had claimed he didn't even know who Peter Thiel was. And there was an interesting instance in an interview which he had been talking with Peter Thiel, and then the reporter asked about his connections with Peter Thiel, and then Clavvicular accused the reporter of being paid by Peter Thiel to sabotage him or something, which is a very interesting way to get out of that scenario. So people have already speculated, some potential relationships. Clavvicular was partnered with some type of Jewish mafia elite recently for the Baccara club that he was a member of when he was only like 20 years old. The kid can't even actually drink legally. And well, I don't even know his exact age. What I was reading online, it said 20, but who knows with everything online, you really can't trust anything. So that's why I don't want to say anything too disparaging that I can't validate. But there is something very weird about Peter Thiel. He's had a lot of young male lovers, some of which have died by strange suicides. And he has the enhanced games. The whole point is taking like anabolic steroids to the max under doctor supervision to set new records, world records. But all of this is proto-transhumanism, the idea of augmenting yourself and transcending. And even in Lookmaxxing, they talk about ascending. Well, what are you ascending towards? Well, your ultimate self. And in a sense, it's very transhuman. Is like when you attain your perfect form, you can ascend into some type of physical perfection, but that doesn't exist this side of eternity. And so it's going to be a continual pursuit for them, but it is a sort of spiritual vapidness. There's a spiritual immorality of the whole thing. You listen to Clavvicular talk about girls and sex. And the interesting thing is with the whole Jewish mafia thing with the Baccarat Club, they end up kicking him out. And so he's not even a part of it anymore. And then recently the girlfriend he's been bragging about, seems that she's Jewish. So very interesting connection when, 2 years ago, he's talking about kissing the wall. And so it's hard to make sense of the whole thing. But if you're just like a pragmatic, utilitarian person that just wants fame and status and quote unquote looks, it begins to make sense. There is no morality there. There are no principles. The only principle is what is most subservient to your self-interest.
Yeah. And ultimately, right, we chatted about this feedback loop that if he starts talking about a thing, right, he can go and I don't know what he ever talked about. I think, did he get popular on Kick? Does that sound right? Like streaming?
Yeah, I think he's on Kick.
But we've chatted about this even with you and I. There are positive and negative feedback loops when you chat about topics. So when he starts coming out and chatting about bone smashing, do you know how many people are going to rage bait and jump on that? And if you have this worldview, like you're saying, if it's utilitarian or anything outside, I would say ultimately Christian and Eastern Orthodox, you're going to get pulled into psychological deception, at least subconsciously. Like he may have not even been about bone maxing and he just smashed his face a couple times. He's like, wow, he's got a couple million views. I'm going to keep doing this, right? How many people, whether if he's talking about vaccines or I've said this about Candace Owens, like, right, she got on a hot topic and has run that, topic into the dirt. I mean, so it's hard to, and our job isn't to judge them. Our job is to take the information and remain vigilant so we can stay on this royal path of like, I want to be healthy. I want to look good. I don't want to go in the opposite direction and use this as an example to sit at home and become fat and overweight and diabetic. Right. Well, I don't do any of that stuff. So there's definitely a royal path in here. The issue is how do young men and ourselves navigate this space? And me, I'm into health. I'm into all these things. So a lot of guys come to me for the peptides. What is the royal path for every person? I'm not. And if anyone who's worked with me and they come to me, I try and start natural. And then we use tools as we go. I don't try and throw people on 5 or 6 different things. And like you're saying, half of it is, have you been disciplined? Can you be disciplined? And have you used up, a lot of these other ways of being before taking the shortcut at the end of the day? So they're there for a reason. I'm a doctor and if someone's sick, I don't always jump on antibiotics, but if you've had strep throat 3 times, then you need an antibiotic because it's going to prevent your chances from getting rheumatic heart disease. So there's a risk and reward to everything. But I would say the worldview that we're bringing into this situation is ultimately, right, we have a unified narrative of salvation being the most important thing. So if salvation is our most important thing, we have an anchor being like, okay, this is why we're doing this. And these other people don't, because it's super hard when you look at him. It's like, okay, whose side is he on? Right? We do this with the whole.
I don't think he's on anyone. I think he's on his own side.
Exactly. And that's all these people. Like when, Trump's going to drain this. Like, dude, Trump's going to do what Trump needs to do to stay in power and to make money. Like it doesn't matter. And that's whether you're Republican or Democrat. Like you can literally look back for the past 10 years. No one is on anyone's side anymore. Like our this whole the Democrats won this last presidential election. Like all those people were Democrats 10 or 15 years ago. So
Right.
what I'm getting at is it's very easy to be manipulated, by the media, by social media, and ultimately by your passions and desires. So use that hopefully as a buttress against falling into these levels of deception. So my 2
Yeah.
cents.
Absolutely. And there, like you said, there is a golden path in regards to taking care of yourself, looking the best that you can, but you don't need to be obsessed. You don't need plastic surgeries. You don't need bone smashing. You don't need to be getting on peptides and testosterone and anabolics before you're even 20 years old. Like this is just absolutely retarded. And at the same time, learning how to dress, present yourself, hold yourself as a man, command a group of people, confidence in public speaking, entertain. These are things absolutely we should all develop these skills. These are great skills to be an effective man in the world. But looks maxing and the whole culture really doesn't provide any of that. They might tell you a little bit about fashion or something like that, but it's so superficial. There's no development of the actual male character, which is why so many of these young men are so damn effeminate. They literally act and move and think and focus on things like they're a woman. So we're going to get into all that, guys. Smash that like. We got so much to dive into today. Also, as we go through, feel free to send in comments. We're going to be responding to any super chats immediately as we go through the stream today. So if there's anything that pops up and you want to comment on or you want to ask questions, feel free to do that. Use Streamlabs Dono Chat, or if you prefer to use YouTube, we're trying to reach a 20 super chat goal over here on YouTube today. And if you're feeling generous, please gift some Kotal Crew memberships. We'd greatly appreciate it. Also, just a quick little teaser. Both Dr. Mo and myself have school communities. I want to remind everyone that June 30th, we're going to be beginning our men's reading of the complete book of Enoch. So that's 5 different books, actually, June 30th. So if anybody is interested in joining the Logos Academy and participating in those group readings, please feel free to do so with this link right here. Victor Ziegler threw in 15 early and he said, been reading Father Thaddeus. Your thoughts determine your life. Phenomenal book. I have not read it, but I'll take that in consideration. Thank you, Victor. Main point about Orthodox relationships equal harmony. Secular red pill relationships equal competition. It's a failing foundation. Yeah, I really can't disagree too much with that. In fact, I put a little bit of a list together thinking about this competency versus harmony versus competition, and just the different ways in which more traditional forms of masculinity were viewed compared to the way it's articulated in Lookmaxxing. And not only are the relationships disharmonious in many ways. I mean, imagine being in a relationship with a Lookmaxxer. Well, let me give you this example. This was one in prep today. I read an article by a woman who went on a date with a handsome guy from some dating site, Tinder or Bumble, whatever it is, who was a Lookmaxxer. She thought he was like a 9 out of 10, visibly handsome. They go on a date. She said when they sat down, he basically had very little to speak about. And at one point, he pulled out lip gloss to put on his lips during the date. So again, the kind of guy you're getting if you're going to date a Lookmaxxer is a man who is viewing himself in terms that a woman views herself constantly, which can only create some sort of homoeroticism or obsession with like male identity. But I was thinking about how traditionally, I would say one of the most iconic features of what a masculine man is strength. Typically physical strength, but it could be moral strength. It could be the perseverance of his will. And what Lookmaxxers focus on the most is aesthetics. And so it made me sit and compile a list just thinking about traditional masculinity versus Lookmaxxing. And this is what I came up with is strength is now overshadowed by aesthetics. Competency. So historically, a masculine man was competent at something. Whether he may have been the blacksmith of the village or whatever occupation he held amongst those group of people. But now it's about image, right? It's not about being competent per se. It's about the image of competency. It's not about building per se. It's about branding. That's the only thing these guys are building or constructing. Again, a sort of sense of self-worship. It's not about courage, right? Masculine men face dangerous situations. When their instincts tell them to flee, they continue to move forward. Lookmaxxing is about validation, right? There is no, what exactly does it mean to be courageous as a Lookmaxxer? Not much. It really just means that you're seeking the approval of others in a sort of validation. And that's presented as some type of courageous act. You take plastic surgery or do something, you get revalidated. There is no understanding of sacrifice, like true sacrifice. Like if you're a married man and you're in hard troubles, making sure you provide for your kids and your wife and busting your ass trying to work, that's sacrifice. Doing away, repenting and getting rid of some of your debaucherous sins, that's sacrifice. But all they have is self-optimization. What are they sacrificing exactly? The points in between their surgeries when they have to take, painkillers and ease the swelling. There is no duty. What is the duty of a man who's a Lookmaxxer? It's all about self-expression. Very effeminate, right? It's an emotive expression. Brotherhood is just online status, right? It's all these fake relationships. It's not actual relationships with men that if you're in a real battle, they're going to show up for you. If you're really in a dark spot, they're going to be there to have your back. As I said, it's not about character. It's not about developing a masculine character or a set of masculine principles. It's about cosmetic enhancement. You might as well get breast implants. It's the same thing. It's literally the same thing. There is no physical labor. Have you ever heard of a Lookmaxxer telling you, hey, you need to learn how to work on your car? You should be able to know how to frame your house. No, it's about a digital curation of essentially their brand, their image, this idolization of themselves. And then virtue, there is no virtue. The only virtue in the Lookmaxxing community is visibility. Again, getting more eyeballs on you, getting more clicks and likes and more engagement from the audience. And so they do the most outrageous and outlandish things. So you look at traditional masculine values that we would still associate with what a real man is: strength, competency, courage, building things, duty, brotherhood, character, physical labor, virtue. None of this stuff is even present in the Lookmaxxing culture.
Yeah, and when they're doing this whole kind of branding thing, it just makes you think about, like, what is this sorcerer? They're kind of conjuring this whole idol that they're constantly feeding. It's funny, we always say, like, feed the algorithm. And then ultimately, like you're saying with the book by Father Thaddeus, I've read Your Thoughts. It's a great book. It's one of the more, I think, for new age people who are in the whole, like, your thoughts determine your lives kind of thing. Like, it's a real good, from an Orthodox perspective. But he really did hit on the whole idea how in the Lookmaxxing culture, it's a perspective of scarcity. I don't, from what I hear about these guys and this whole movement, is I have to look better so I can outcompete and I have to beat everyone instead of fulfilling myself and becoming better. Right. From our perspective in Orthodox, right. I don't really look at anyone else. I'm like, what can I do? What can I become? And I focus on that. Right. But, in the polygamy world too.
To my point, to the point you're making, that's an interior transformation.
Yep.
Where theirs is just the image. It's just the aesthetic. It's just the outside layer.
Well, and you see that Dan Bilzerian, he had his whole run, right? It's him with 30 women on the yachts. These guys grew up kind of seeing that. And, the other thing that's super strange, maybe we just hit it just right. I told you, like, not to fanboy anyone, Greg Plitt, like, he was kind of the first guy that I watched a lot of his YouTube videos. He was an Army Ranger. He was on the cover of more magazines than I think anyone at the time. And I think now, like you're saying, we're getting to this point that most people haven't had to go through real adversity. They can just like, what is clavicular gone? I don't know what he's maybe.
I think the rhinoplasties.
Yeah. But you get what I'm saying? Like there was this time where, you go to the gym and you work out and you build discipline, and then you can transfer that to other facets of your life. And that made you a better person.
Right.
And 99% of the time, you weren't doing it to show off, right? No one's seeing me deadlift at 5:30 in the morning. No one's seeing me when I'm eating. But now we're in this culture of like, hey guys, let me show you what I'm doing in the gym today. Hey guys, let me show you what I'm eating. So it's only makes sense.
The whole
that I'm
thing's
saying
performative.
Yeah. Their whole point is like,
Constantly
I do this to
performative.
show off.
Right. Yeah.
But that's
No,
not
the whole thing. It's constantly performative. It's superficial. And there really is no advancement of the individual. I mean, look at all these streamers that do like IRL streaming for like 9 hours. I mean, how do you develop as an individual when the majority of your week is on camera?
Yep.
And we all know that, I mean, the psychology of the way people act on camera versus off camera, totally different.
Yep.
And, reading and having life experiences and growing and finding what principles, if they have any, that they're going to stand up for. I mean, you can't be a man if there isn't a principle you're going to stand up for that isn't yourself. Right? Because that's really my point today, is that that's what all these people worship, which is the same thing as the OnlyFans girl.
Yep.
And that's why, as we'll get into, according to one leak this month, Clavvicular is going to be joining OnlyFans soon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if he's doing gay content or if he's doing content with the girls he manages or what, but I heard he's hanging out with
Vegan Gains, dude. Him and Vegan Gains are
him and Vegan Gains are going to film some content together.
Yeah.
Gosh.
And hey,
I can't think of two more masculine men. Vegan Gains and Clavvicular. Oh God.
God bless him, man. Maybe they'll see the light, not to judge them too much, but these are examples of things that we have to look at and call out, and ultimately look at culture and where it's going. And then we have a lot of other information. We see what that does downstream to dating, feminism, fatherhood, all that other stuff. So
yeah. And then Victor Ziegler threw in 25 says, legends, let's get it. Absolutely. So thank you so much, Victor. Really appreciate the support. God, don't make me mog you in my.
That's why I shaved my beard, bro. I didn't want to mog you on here.
Yeah. Serbian Slav Squat member for 10 months says Orthodox men are peak masculinity. Well, certainly highlights what the foundation of masculinity is. It has to be rooted in some type of transcendent faith. So, when you were talking, I was like, take me back to the glory day, the 1990s, where masculinity was the American soldier fighting for Zog and the military industrial complex. It's like, it's like, obviously that whole thing of the American hero warrior, peak masculinity. Yeah, he's fighting for, Zog. He's fighting for these massive corporations, but at least he is more masculine than what we're getting today.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're getting today is like, it's like a homosexual's version of the masculine man.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, we'll see that.
Say that again.
I was saying, yeah, we'll see. But he's not defending the physical land. He's just defending the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, pretty much. Right. Blink throws in 20. Thank you so much. Says, late to the stream. Clav sounds like one of the beautiful ones from Rat Utopia. Yeah, he does.
I don't know that.
Well, dude, that I didn't even think about it, but Rat Utopia plays in perfectly with today's stream, because only in a first world nation where you have all these accoutrements and commodities of comfort can you become a Lookmaxxer, which is very much like the Rat Utopia experiment. For those who aren't aware, is an experiment done. This was, I believe, in the 60s or 70s, where they gave rats essentially unlimited resources to see. Some they gave cocaine to. They just wanted to see what the behavior patterns were. And they found when resources were in full abundance and pleasure was in full abundance, the rats could get as much cocaine as they wanted. It ended up killing the entire population. And some of the rats, the beautiful ones, became like homosexual rats.
Yeah, they stopped procreating. They literally stopped mate. And we see this in the dating field, which we'll get to some of the stats. Yeah.
Yes, we're seeing it right now. I mean, the fertility rates are abysmal right now. Absolutely abysmal. And I saw Andrew Schultz, famous comedian. he was talking about how him and his wife had to do IVF because they found out that his fertility was so low that he actually couldn't get his wife pregnant. They thought it was the wife's problems. It turned out to be his problems. And he's like, yeah, you wouldn't believe after I spoke about this, all the guys, in the community, I guess, comedy, famous people reached out and said they have the same thing, the fertility problems. And it's so real. And we've talked about the endocrine disruptors and all the microplastics and the chemicals in our environment. I think you did a whole stream with me, 2 or 3 hours, just talking about how the environments that we inhabit right now are so toxic. And that's part of the problem. And it's having this interesting effect where the men are becoming effeminate, and the women, I read one article today that they're actually being induced into puberty at sometimes 6 years earlier than the historic average.
Yep. Yeah, because
that's
they have
outrageous.
All these, yeah, right. They have all the xenoestrogens, right? So they're estrogenic. We've chatted about this. They're not actually getting estrogen. They're getting, BPA in the water that hits the estrogen receptors, which is similar to them starting to producing more estrogen. And at the same time, those same things are hitting men too. So, this is the hardest part for my profession, because I kind of told you, I got out of school and I was 4 or 5 years, I was doing everything I could to help guys with their hormones. And honestly, the guys that I put on TRT whose life really turned around. We did the natural stuff. And, if you're younger, you should, exhaust all of your resources. But should I not put a guy on HCG or enclomiphene if his fertility is struggling? Those are definitely pharmaceuticals. And you have other stuff. You have L-carnitine, you have zinc, anything that's going to help your mitochondria is probably going to help your sperm better. But, we've chatted. If you grew up, right, atrazine, and I don't like them putting chemicals in the water, turning the frogs gay, right? That's a real thing.
They are, though.
Yeah. So the hard part for me then is like, I want to remain natural and not be as transhuman, but what do I do? If you're Andrew Schultz, I don't know. Do you just say, okay, I guess I just don't get my girl fertile, or I don't get my girl pregnant because I'm not fertile? In Orthodoxy, we have a guiding light against a lot of those things. But we're definitely moving, I'm saying it's definitely a gray area.
It is a gray area
that we're moving into. So it's difficult.
I know of Orthodox people that had to use IVF to get pregnant.
Yeah.
I don't know what the church's official position is on that either.
I could be wrong. I think most are against it. I could be wrong. Someone will correct us in the comments.
I've heard various bishops speak out against it.
Yeah.
Because they have to discard so many eggs in the process of IVF that it's like abortion.
Yeah. The issue with it is if usually there's at least a handful of eggs that become fertilized. So I think but the issue is you have to do the procedures to get the eggs, then you get them, and then their typical way is fertilize as many as possible and see what happens. Right. Where I think this is just me. I'm not a priest. I'm not a bishop. One way that could make sense to me in that is if you just take one egg out at a time, it's just going to be super expensive. But you're still right. You're fertilizing it, putting it in. It's like it gets pretty weird. Where I'm, and I've not had any pushback. I don't want to call it any my clergy or bishop. Like we use enclomiphene and Clomid. Those are medications that with women helps them actually produce and ovulate more eggs. So it allows you have a higher chance for twins. You've heard that, right? A lot of bodybuilders would be taking Clomid. It's a pretty common phenomenon. If you're taking Clomid, you'll have you can have twins because the non-identical, I forget the term for, you get actually 2 eggs that are fertilized. So there's definitely a weird situation that we're getting put in. And, in my opinion, it's like, okay, a lot of us had hip injuries. A lot of us were vaccinated. A lot of us soy, I was raised on soy formula. What did that do?
Well, that explains everything, actually.
It's good. I only let you pick on me, right? So it's tough. That's what I'm saying. This is the reality of the situation. It's tough when I look at an 18. Like, I'm not him. I don't know what I do at 18, and I'm like, my testosterone's 400.
Well, how much do you think 2020 affected that generation?
Oh, dude, for sure.
I mean, because what I'm noticing is a lot of the kids that were in high school or middle school during the COVID lockdowns, I mean, they're the ones that are most susceptible to this type of stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, they're just idea of media too, right? You and I were probably raised on the news. And this is what I'm saying. I'm grateful for the time to be raised in the situation of like, okay, it was mostly news. Social media slowly came in, right? I couldn't go and stream anything that I wanted, right? Like I had to wait for my TV show or whatever it was. If I ordered a package, it took 2 weeks. Like these kids, right? I mean, like I can go watch whatever TV show I want. I can order whatever I want. I get it today, tomorrow. And then the way that they get their news, right? They can just go on X or YouTube or any time. It's like this instant. So that in itself is going to bring out a lot or breed out a lot of the masculine qualities that you and I like, you know, oh, it's going to be 2 years. Let me save up for my birthday. Right. Or let me like, I have a bodybuilding show or whatever. Like I'm going to go, I have this competition. I'm going to go run this marathon. Like, you know, where people are like, let me just take all these drugs for 3 weeks and then I'll run the marathon. So
Tallow Fries throws in 5, says, Lord have mercy on Clav and lead him to the church. Yeah. Lord have mercy on him. I hope he does become Orthodox.
I think he's Catholic, at least claims to be. So
it claims that he was raised that. I certainly, in some of the videos I watched in prep for today, I certainly don't see any of those values transitioning over right now. But Franz von Garrett throws in 2, says, DPH, is it true that you're Chinese? So smart. Yes, I was born in Beijing.
Yeah.
No, I studied in China 2 summers and studied Mandarin. So 我知道一点中文，可是我的中文太不好了。
He's actually been working for the FBI and Donald Trump and Jensen Wong. He's working on our chip deal. So.
Well, it's actually how I met Jay. He was a KGB agent, and I was working for the CCP. And so we actually met somewhere in North Korea and decided that we're going to do the whole Orthodox thing. Yeah. That's how it all came about.
Makes sense.
All right. So let's start getting into some of the, and we had one more actually. Over on Streamlabs, Jeremy Kyle throws in 10, says, the richer the external, the poorer the internal. Fair enough. Awesome. I'd say generally that can be the case. All right. So getting into our stuff today. Now, this is the article. I'm not going to support everything that's in it, but it certainly is interesting. Anthony Calpo, this is a Substack article on the interesting relationships potentially between Clavvicular and Peter Thiel. It's led many people to speculate, but we're going to move on from this. But if you guys are interested, do read that article I just posted in the chat. First thing we're going to get into is we're going to have Dr. Mo actually analyze some of the peptide steroid stack that Clavvicular is on, because part of the whole Lookmaxxing community is that this began online through blogs talking about drugs people can take, techniques they can do, surgeries. And that's how Clavvicular got introduced and got somewhat of a following inside that specific community, especially for the extent he was willing to go. So now they're telling all these young guys to get on all types of substances, and retatrutide being one of them, but him taking 12 milligrams is not actually accurate according to recent videos. He's claimed to be taking up to 20 milligrams, but I want to play this. But first of all, why don't we just talk about the substances before we even watch the video? Looking at Clavvicular's stack, you being a male doctor or men's physician, I should say, men's physician specifically regarding hormones, testosterone, peptides, all types of stuff, health optimization. When you look at his stack, what comes to your mind?
So first thing, like for me, when guys come to me, I do think the biggest area to optimize for most men from an objective lab standpoint will be testosterone. That's going to do like 70, 80% of it. These other stuff they're helpful. I think a lot of it is completely overkill. I mean, you can see his melatonin dose, you know that, right? His melatonin dose is 300 to 500 milligrams.
I thought that was just outrageously high.
Yeah. There's some study, I think, in cancer, because melatonin is an antioxidant, 40 upwards to 100 milligrams. Most people can do 1 or 2, and that should be enough to kind of knock you out. But I do think like
300 to 500 milligrams says that he's on a bunch of uppers and needs all that to come down.
Probably. Yeah. That's actually one thing that I was surprised. The Nobivolol is a beta blocker, so that, when you release endorphins, they hit your beta receptors. That gives you energy, like beta 2 agonists. Like ephedra is one of those. And he's admitted to being on some amphetamines too. So, but to me, the hierarchy of like what's going to help you live a better life, like I think testosterone. What's interesting is he doesn't really have anything on here for growth hormone. But I mean, overall, honestly, it's a pretty good stack. I mean, we'll kind of go through the doses. I don't know if you want to do that before or after. You can kind of hear him talk, or I can break him down before.
Either way, you want to watch the video?
Yeah, if you want to play a little bit of it, just to kind of hear it, like, you know, coming straight from.
Let me fix my mic so it's going to work properly. Okay. So just to stop, go ahead.
How many views did this get? I think it was like a million.
1.8 million views.
Yeah. And this was how long ago already? Last year?
This was in February of this year. So this is coming from a New York Times interview between Clavvicular and this reporter. It didn't go very long, but this is at the point at which the interviewer asked, like, what are all the stuff that you're taking?
What's your stack right now? Like, what do you take every day?
Yeah, so right now I'm on a very low dose of test. I'm on around like 220 milligrams.
Okay.
I've been like lowering my dose, you know, throughout the past couple months. So that's my TRT dose. I'm on 25 milligrams of Accutane. I'm on 12 milligrams of retatrutide. I'm on 10 milligrams of nebivolol.
What's that?
It's a beta blocker.
Okay. Kind of even you out?
Even me out?
Yeah, I mean, what's the point of taking the beta blocker?
So it blocks the beta 1 and the beta 2 receptors, which you know, just make it a little bit easier on your heart with the higher blood pressure and certain, like, you know.
Gotcha. Okay, so testosterone, Accutane, Reta, nebivolol, beta blocker, or the nebivolol is a beta blocker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nebivolol is more selective of the beta 1 receptor.
Okay.
Pranolol is another beta blocker people take.
Yeah.
That's the beta 1 and beta 2, which blocks like a lot of the physical anxiety that you could get.
Is that it?
No.
Keep going.
So I usually take melanotan too. I haven't taken it in like a little bit, but I just want to make sure that that's in there.
What's that?
Melanotan 2 agonizes something called your melanocortin receptors, 4 of them to be exact, and that basically induces melanogenesis. So when you're exposed to UV, you know, you're going to basically produce melanin at an extremely exacerbated rate. Tan about 100 times quicker.
So helps you tan?
What's up?
Helps you tan?
Yes.
Okay.
I think you cut them off. I mean, right. A little bit. I mean, honestly,
hold on. What was that?
I said, you know, I think it's good. I can kind of chat a little bit. I'm echoing now.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, he'll rant. I mean, honestly, the more assuring part is that he's decently educated on most of these things.
Yeah, no, he's above average IQ, clearly.
Oh yeah.
No, he seems like a smart kid.
Yeah. So we can break it down a little bit. We can scroll up. You know, the interesting thing a lot of people won't know is that as he's talking about these, like with testosterone, you usually talk about it in a week, right? So unless he's doing 220 milligrams a day, which that's doable, man, but that's up there. You know, that's 1,400 milligrams a week. There are some people that will do 500 to 1,000 a week. But normally on my end, if I prescribe more than 200 milligrams a week, the pharmacists are usually going to call me and be like, hey, what are you doing? Like, that's a really high dose. So just to give you kind of a general perspective, if a guy comes to me and his testosterone's like 300 or 400 and he has a lot of the, you know, hey, I'm low libido, low energy, more drive. Obviously we're going to try all the natural stuff first. And if we get to the point where we do testosterone, I'll usually start them on like 40 milligrams 3 times a week, which would be about 120 milligrams. Most often that's going to get a guy from like 400 upwards to 800 or 900, right? And the reference range, depending on where you're at, is 350 to 1200, right? The study I quote all the time, in 1988, your average 60-year-old was in the 500 to 600s. So most guys can get by anywhere from 30 to 50 milligrams. And I like dividing the doses up. So I'm assuming what he's doing is 220 milligrams. But I've heard him talk in other ones. You could do that in one big shot, but then you realize you're just going to go up and down. So,
Right.
and then the other nuance with him is I like using what's called testosterone cypionate. So you take testosterone, you bind it onto an ester, it makes it last longer. He actually likes using a shorter ester. He uses a propionate, which I don't like that theory. That theory is like I do cypionate every day in guys who will do it. But to me, your levels are going to be more stable if you're doing a longer half-life and you're doing it more frequently. That makes sense. So I've heard him talk. He uses like testosterone propionate, which is also hard just to get it in the United States. Like the easiest one for us to get is usually testosterone cypionate. So honestly, a testosterone of 220 milligrams a week is not ridiculous. Like if you go on TikTok, a lot of guys are like, hey, you're going to do your first cycle. You want to do 500 milligrams of test. And, I've done, once I go over 200, my total testosterone is like 1,800 to 2,000. Now, and again, my opinion is like the real issue with this, and Anavar will chat about what's similar. It's the levels are important, but really with the hormones, what I try and watch out for are their side effects. It's like if you have one car and it has 400 horsepower versus 700 horsepower, it's like, okay, what does that do to the miles per gallon, right? So what does it do to your blood pressure? What's it do to your resting heart rate, your estrogen, your blood viscosity? So, we are in a pretty interesting time with hormone replacement therapy, trying to figure out, where's the risk versus reward? And that's one thing to me. If you're actually going to do TRT and your levels are 200, why would you go to 400? Like you might as well go to 700 or 800 or 900 if there's no side effects. It's kind of like you're riding your bike and you're riding 10 miles an hour and I give you an e-bike or a motorcycle. And it's like, well, I'm just going to go 20 miles an hour now where I was naturally. It's like if you can get to a place, and the real thing we don't know is like how many of us have some form of limitation to our production of hormones due to, like I said, vaccine, all the things we named. Like I grew up swimming in ponds next to fields that were sprayed with glyphosate, and glyphosate Roundup Ready is latex cell toxic. So, testosterone dose of 220 isn't.
Which didn't RFK just lose the lawsuit on glyphosate?
Did he? I wanted to bring up some RFK stuff. That one I don't know particular. Did he?
I thought they did. I thought that was one that they lost. Glyphosate there. That's why there was so much optimism about the peptides, is that maybe he can preserve the peptides from regulation because they lost the glyphosate lawsuit.
Yeah. And, maybe I'll talk about that briefly, that, typically when you have a drug, right? Like you and I are messing with something and we find a component that does X, Y, and Z, right? You literally go through years of clinical trials and it gets approved. But if you and I went in our backyard and I took out ashwagandha and I could pull out whatever component does the SSRI part of it, and I could patent it, you know what I mean? Like technically you and I could start selling that. And until something bad happens, the FDA is not going to really care. That's one of the issues right now with, like BPC is patented by a company overseas. They used it for 5 or 10 years and said, oh, there's nothing here. And they left it. That's the issue with BPC. People go, no, the company made it and then they let it sit for 20 years. And at this point, it doesn't make sense for them to pour in tens of millions of dollars, because then generics are going to be able to come out pretty quickly. So almost all of the peptides, there's these little nuances. I'm not a big, me, I'm a conspiracy guy, but I don't think like if you called up the orthopedic surgery, the American Medical Association, like, we know about this BPC, how do we stop it from being made? It's more like, hey, did you hear about this BPC? And they're like, can we make money off it? No. Okay. Well, then I don't care. Right. Then they're not going to pour money into getting it.
Basically the entire medical industry right now.
Yeah. And I mean, that's where I'm like, I don't think there's a conspiracy to like usually suppress certain things, but if there's not a way to make money, they don't care. You think they really care about BPC? Like, honestly, Hims is a company that will probably end up selling. We'll see how that goes. Because once you can figure out how to make money, then they're about. That's why no one did TRT. That's why because like there was no way to make money off it unless you do something like me, where I do cash and it's more like total health, right? Your other primary care doctor, he sees you, he's like, I don't make any money off you for your $25 copay. Like, I don't want to give you a controlled substance like testosterone, take on the liability and not make any money, right? Do you need your prostate biopsy? Cool, we can do that. Like, I'll make some money. And I'm not saying
thank
that
you.
you know what I mean? You'd like that. So long rented tent, like the testosterone dose is like, that's not super high, honestly. And you heard him, he said he was kind of bringing it down. Now,
Right.
what I will jump down to is he has Anavar. So Anavar's generic is oxandrolone, which is an anabolic steroid. People have heard about that VAR. Like that's the most popular one for women to take.
Yep.
And it was actually developed because they were trying to figure out a way to help women regenerate without using testosterone, right? So they had like okay, we have a teenage girl who's a burn victim. How do we help her heal faster? Right. And so they basically took DHT and manipulated it, which is testosterone's meaner older brother. But milligram for milligram, this is what the anabolics are going to do, is help you put on more muscle. Right. So like testosterone, like it's anabolic versus it's adrenergic. So, or androgenic, like let's just say for every 1 pound of muscle, you get 1 pit hair, just to keep it simple. Right. That's what testosterone does. 1 milligram, 1. Where something like oxandrolone will be like for 1 pit hair, you get 3 pounds of muscle. So what you then do is then like, well, instead of I can then take 1/3 of the amount. That's a safer way to do it. Like I think in the future, it would make sense to do something like you do 150 milligrams of testosterone a week and then 50 milligrams of Anavar a week for like surgery, right? If you're going into it, if you're 60, 70 years old, it's like, why wouldn't we use these? Now, the problem is with the anabolics like oxandrolone is it crushes your lipids. So it really lowers your good HDL, raises your heart rate. So there's things that honestly, they could be used properly, but they pulled the drug because they think there are better ways. And honestly, I'm still skeptical. I'm still really skeptical of the whole like baseball steroid era. Are steroids dangerous? 100%. Dude, but comparative, like all these other drugs out, like, how many young guys go to the doctor and they don't feel good? And like, will you check my testosterone? No, we'll give you Lexapro though. Oh, cool. Put them on an SSRI that can make them like depressed and like give them erectile dysfunction. Makes perfect sense. You know what I mean? So comparatively where we are, I am skeptical of that, they're doing all these endocrine disruptors and then they're pulling out the things that are actually beneficial. If that makes sense. Like, let's not, but then they'll give testosterone to someone who wants to, what do you call, transition? Yeah. They'll give them testosterone. So, of course, honestly, his anabolics here are not ridiculous. They're not.
What about I'm not very familiar with melanotan too.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that? What are some of the side effects? I mean, he's got a whole cocktail here, and there has to be zero research on what happens when you take all this stuff together.
For sure.
And mind you, all the stuff he's taking that he's not mentioning, because he's been very open about drugs and amphetamines and things that he takes to be social, because he's admitted that it's very hard for him to go to a club or go to a public event without being on drugs because he's naturally very antisocial introvert.
Yeah, and we know that with testosterone, like when guys, there's a study where with guys, they put them on testosterone, they were more likely to be generous. I think they did some type of like fundraising event and they were more likely to give more money. And like you're saying, this is a big issue for all of medicine. Because a lot of your doctors are going to look at this and say, there's no I was like, dude, there's no research for mixing a diabetic drug, a cardiovascular drug, and like a Alzheimer's drug together.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like they'll take all these drugs and I'm not saying that to rip on it, but I'm saying like, okay, well, we don't have testosterone, nebivolol, and, oxandrolone study. No, we don't. That's why I'm more of a detective. Like I look at more mechanism of action, be like, well, would these work together? So melanotan 2, you have melanocortin receptors on your skin, and that's what you hit when you tan.
Right.
And so it actually will help with a lot of different things. It boosts your immune system. It can help with fat loss. Like that one, you kind of say it's the vacation hormone. So boosts your libido, helps you get a tan. You tan way quicker on it, way easier. That one, I think, depending on your opinion of skin cancer, right? That's a whole other bag of worms with like sunscreen, skin cancer, I would think that if it's not well regulated, there may be a higher chance for skin cancer. It's kind of like putting more fuel on, but that just depends on the environment that you're living in too. You know what I mean? I think about a lot of these things, like inflammation is usually going to be what starts the fire. A lot of these things are going to be gasoline.
Right.
maybe we'll get chatting, right? Because now they're working on the PSK9 inhibitors, which are trying to stop your body from making cholesterol
Right.
for heart attacks. So yeah, melanotan too, it's great. I mean, it's again not a lot of safety data on that one. Accutane, most people know that one's for acne. That's a form of vitamin A. Its issue is it just dries everything out. All of your joints, your lips, people that take it, it just dries everything out. It's also contraindicated in pregnancy. Like I could be wrong. It may be even cancer for the baby. I don't remember.
Wow.
I just remember, right? Every woman and man should know that vitamin A high doses is contraindicated in women during pregnancy or trying to become pregnant. And yeah, retatrutide or retatride. This is the newest GLP-1, but it has 3 mechanisms.
Yeah, speak a little bit about retatrutide, because I'm not totally familiar with why people are so excited about that over Ozempic, GLP-1. It has to do with the multiple binding centers. Is that correct?
Yeah, it hits multiple receptors. So semaglutide is the original OG, and it hits what's called GLP-1. So when you eat, food hits your stomach, and your body goes, oh, let's digest this. So slow down digestion, right? So when you take a GLP-1, you're basically just forcing yourself not to eat, which works, right? So if you don't have a problem with food noise, then Ozempic doesn't make sense. Ozempic's generic name is semaglutide, and I'll chat about that way. Now, Eli Lilly then came out with a new one, Mounjaro or Zepbound, and its generic name is called tirzepatide, and it hits 2 receptors. It's GLP-1, right, which makes you stop your digestion, but it also hits this GIP receptor, which increases your insulin sensitivity. So it more so helps regulate your blood sugar better. So, I mean, if you're fasting, and if you don't have good insulin sensitivity, you're going to have brain fog, you're going to have a low energy. You're just not going to feel good. Right. And then so tirzepatide comes around, hits 2 of these receptors, and it's I would say far superior for preserving muscle mass, preserving cognitive function while you're using it. And so that's the current FDA approved leader, most popular GLP-1 kind of. There's another one called CagriSema, which uses crimglutide. It's not that good. It's a whole other, I could talk forever on that. Now, in the clinical trials now, Eli Lilly has a new one, retatrutide or retatrutide. People, I'm pretty sure retatrutide is how they say it, but everyone just says retatrutide.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
I've always heard it as retatrutide.
Yeah, and trust me, go and watch my videos. I've caught so much people. I'm like, tomato. Now, when I first heard about the GLP-1s, that didn't make sense to me, because just learning about physiology. If you want to lose weight, you'd probably actually want to hit the beta-2 receptor. That's like when you use ephedra. Or you would want to go for the glucagon receptor, because your glucagon receptor is what actually upregulates your metabolism and tells your body to burn fat for energy. That gives you energy. It's a sympathetic thing, right? Like, caffeine helps with that. Cyclic AMP. These things are what rev up your metabolism. So it's interesting when everyone says when they're like, oh, these new GLP-1s, I'm like, you mean glucagon? Glucagon would make way more sense from a fat loss. That's what a bodybuilder would want. A lot of them will use thyroid, because you can just take thyroid. Thyroid is your body's heat. So right now in the clinical trials, we have retatrutide, which hits that glucagon receptor with the GLP-1, with the GIP. And yeah, it's, fit through phase 3. And look, if you have a 65-year-old guy who's 100 pounds overweight, I think the risk versus reward there makes total sense. If that guy can drop 50, 75, 100 pounds, they showed decrease in knee pain. Yeah. I mean, obviously.
Well, here in the chat, Defying Fate says he's on a GLP-3 for 2 months and he's down 30 pounds.
Yeah, bro, they work. And this is the hard part, man. This is where I've seen phenomenal stuff. This is uncommon. This is what I'm saying. Go buy, not financial advice. I put money in Eli Lilly, man. It's going to be the biggest drug of the next 20 years until they come out with the quad agonist, which I don't know.
What are the side effects? Because I always heard Ozempic weaken bone density, made your bones more brittle, more sensitive to breaking, and that the GLP, Ozempic in particular, can paralyze your stomach and cause problems well after you get off the drug.
Yeah. I mean, let's think it through. I gave you the mechanism action. So what is that 65-year-old person who's already eating garbage, probably, right? They already probably have weak bones to begin with, and then they're not even eating. So yeah, like this is like, I feel this way about all of these things, that it's like technology, right? It's your phone. It can be used for good or for bad. Most people who are in a terrible state and they use these things, it will probably make things worse. So if you already have, like, you're eating terrible and you have a GI dysfunction, you know, whether that is delayed gastric, like whatever, acid reflux, yeah, it's probably going to make it worse. But on the other end, like I've seen guys who are on TRT and you put them on retatrutide, dude, they'll 20, 30 pounds and they get stronger. You know, one of the first guys that I worked with was a personal trainer in his mid 40s, and we've had him on tests for 3 or 4 years, 6'2", CrossFit trainer, fit, like doing everything dialed in. And he was just chatting about fatigue. And I said, you know what? It'd be interesting. You know, retatrutide hitting that glucagon receptor gives a lot of more clarity because it gives more energy. It's a lot like caffeine. And you're seeing too, it actually helps with regulation of mood. You've seen that with addiction. There's a lot of like other things that it can do, for better or worse. Some people actually get anhedonia, which makes them more numb, which is not a good thing. And this is why you should be, my opinion, like, reach out to me or whoever. It's good to be working with a practitioner. Dude, he used it for like 10 weeks at like 2 milligrams. And we followed up and he's like, dude, that stuff's crazy. I'm like, what happened? He's like, dude, I lost 15 pounds that I didn't know I could lose. And he goes, and I'm stronger. Right. So he's like, you know, the whole, like, we know when you're growing up, like, hey, do you want to put on mass or do you want to cut? Oh, I'm going to do both. Dude, it's so hard. Unless you have your macros dialed in, you're eating perfectly. It's possible. But to be a transhumanist, like, dude, if you're on testosterone and Reta, like, I would put money down that most guys in their first 3 to 6 months using that combo can very easily put on 10 or 15 pounds of muscle and lose 5, 10 pounds of fat. Like, that would be a baseline for most guys. And you got a guy who's 50 years old. Like, most of us peak at 20, 25. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there can be a good there. You know, one of my first mentors in TRT, Jim Meehan, rest in peace. He, you know, evangelical, his whole thing is like, dude, when I got on testosterone, I was a better father. Like, I could show up for my family. And the clavicular hits it. Like, a lot of guys will tell you once they get their testosterone optimized, they're more likely to be outgoing. They don't come from this place of fear. They don't come from like, I don't have enough strength. I don't have enough money. Testosterone makes effort feel good. Right. And then you pair that with like, oh, wow, you throw on Reta and your appetite is suppressed, but then you actually have something that's burning your energy. You have positive feedback. So they can be used good, but you and I would agree, like, dude, you're 20 years old. Like, why are you leaning on all these meds like that? You know, it's funny. I'm sorry. I want to tangent into the Gavin Ortland thing. Just the mindset of like what salvation and what health are, right? Yeah. Gavin Ortland did his debate with Father Stephen DeYoung, and he still doesn't get it, that it's like, if your idea of health is like, let me take all these drugs, like, it's a very westernized way of thinking, right? Like, a lot of people go, how do I get healthy? Oh, I go to the doctor and I take my drugs. You're missing the point, dude. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like the Western idea of like,
well, it gets back to the shortcut mentality that Lookmaxxing is actually chasing.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons why they're so adamant about the use of pharmaceuticals, is that they do work and they are effective, and it gives you a shortcut to the results you want.
And there's a difference between that and health, which they're totally missing. And I'd like to hear your opinion, because what I see of Gavin Ortland, his issue is, he's like, well, all the church fathers say they have these like these, you know, Catholics or Protestants, and the church fathers are like, dude, these guys are quote unquote screwed. They're off the ark. And there's a difference between being on the ark and leaving and trying to find the ark and not finding it. Right. And the mindset of health is similar. Like, if I go right now as an naturopathic doctor and know what I know and say, I'm just going to start, like, I don't believe in dialing on all of the basics. I'm just going to take pills. Like, that's what a church father hears when Gavin's like, hey, I've heard about the church. I know the church, but I'm just going to go the other direction. That pheronema, the way of thinking, is not going to lead you to salvation. It's like, if you're in the like, I don't know if you can remain healthy outside of seeing a doctor, but I for sure know if you come to the doctor and tell the doctor that everything is wrong, and then you go and do things on your own, you're going to have a really, really hard time. So those are two different kind of situations.
Right.
And this is the same thing with health as it is with your soul. It's like, if you want to reject everything that we have, and look, I'm definitely not putting our modern medical situation on par with the church. But if you want to go, and this is I will say, the overcorrection of people who then become super skeptical of all the doctors. It's like, look, a lot of them are doing the best that they can. Are there big pharmaceuticals that have come in and manipulated the space? Yeah. But at the same time, like, dude, I have some patients that, like, they're not in very healthy states and they won't go see a regular doctor, which is great.
Like, I haven't seen a doctor in over a decade.
Yeah, but your blood pressure is not 200 over 100 and you have AFib. Like, I have a guy like that. I'm like, dude, he's like, no, they're going to kill me. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. You're probably going to have a heart attack.
They're going to kill me.
You know, and I don't blame him, but during COVID, right? He went in there and they tried to shoot him up with stuff. You get what I'm saying? The whole throwing the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing. It's
I get it. I get it. I could easily see something that's just, I wasn't expecting you to say that was his response.
No, yeah, he's like trying to kill. I mean, honestly, you get what I'm saying? It's the same thing when people, there are certain cancers that, like, ketogenic works great. Fasting works great. There are others that I'm like, dude, you can actually use some chemo and your chances of surviving in some of, like, the leukemia is like 90%. So, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's, in my opinion, what a good doctor should be doing, is coming in and figuring out your risk versus reward in all these situations. So right. I'm a retatrutide fan. It's going to be great. It's just now, it needs to be used properly.
Well, what about if you use too much? So yeah, okay. This talks about 12 milligram use, but
it's too high.
I believe, it's this video right here where he talks about potentially using 20 milligrams.
Bro, I mean, ask anyone in the comments. There's other people.
Maybe this is a different peptide. I'll play the video here in a second. Go ahead.
Takes 10 times. Well, no, that's about right, because I mean, you can just ask people. There's plenty of people who've been playing with peptides, and they'll tell you, Retta, like, I have to be careful about giving advice and stuff. In the research, you know, they start at 1 milligram to 2 milligrams weekly. A lot of people are going to get great results using 1, 2, 3, 4 milligrams. Once you hit 4 to 6 milligrams, yeah, you can get a 5 to 10 point rise in your resting heart rate. You can get kinesthesia, where you get, like, skin pain literally everywhere. Disruption of your deep sleep, anxiety, heart rate, AFib. Yeah. You know, so be careful. There's definitely to me, I just think about the mechanism, like, okay, well, if I'm revving up your sympathetic response, like, what's going to happen? You can get anxious. Your heart rate can go up. You can, like, lose deep sleep. You can, you know, all those things.
Right. All right. Let's check out this little clip real quick. This is with Androgenic. This is another Lookmaxxer, as I mentioned, from Australia. They've had some sort of falling out between Clav and Androgenic. I don't know exactly the details. From my understanding, Androgenic came to the U.S. This was a few months ago. This is back in April. So he was here in April, and they were doing Lookmaxxing together. Actually, I shit you not, there's a video of him in clavicular stream with shoulder pads on his shoulders to make his shoulders look wider.
Middle linebacker?
Yes. No, literally, he's there, like, on camera fixing his shoulder pads. And it's not like he's, you know, he looks fairly fit, this Androgenic. Now he's going bald, so that hair under his hat is a wig. And these are considered, amongst the Lookmaxxing community, the top 1 and 2 in the world, whatever that means. But this is a conversation they're having, and Clavicular is mentioning everything, or the amount of peptide that he's taking.
25 mg, so you could, like, placebo max yourself, like, into thinking, like, you're gonna mug harder. I feel like it's kind of worth it.
The issue is that based on the research I did, 25 mg is worse than, like, 400 tests in toxicity.
Worse?
Yeah. So it's like, if you want to do 25 trend just for, like, a bit of a boost, it's like, why not just add, like, half a gram more of tests?
Because you're gonna bloat.
AI.
Yeah, but, like, trend is no bloat.
Right? Yeah, but, like, giga-high test and AI seems pretty ideal, to be honest.
I'd rather die 10 years sooner and mug. That's my thing. Who gives a fuck? You know?
Kind of sad, really. again, it gets back to this weird self-worship. He'd rather live years shorter and mog, whatever that means. And I don't even know what men are walking around thinking about the man that's mogging them at the whatever shop or restaurant they're at. But again, this weird self-obsession where he is taking apparently extreme amounts of particular peptides and supplements to mog harder. I mean, when I look at his physique, I don't see someone who's, working out a lot. He talked about how he doesn't really like to work out and that he takes all these drugs so that he can work out the least amount possible to have the body he wants.
Well, and it's so funny. They have their verbiage or whatever. I was trying to figure out. I think he was talking about tests because then they also talked about using an AI, which is an aromatase inhibitor, because that's why he asked me, your test dose is too high. It's going to cause bloat, which he's assuming is coming from estrogen. And that's why he's like higher estrogen, bloat, and he's saying use an AI, which is an aromatase inhibitor to block your estrogen. That's kind of what I got from that conversation.
Okay.
But I wasn't completely sure, but that's what it sounded like to me.
Gotcha.
I think 25. It sounded like he was talking about 25 milligrams of test a day, which would be like 300 or 400 mgs, right? We know he was taking like 200, so he's super physiologically high in his testosterone.
Now, what type of damage does Clav potentially have to his body due to getting on testosterone? He claims he got on test like 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, I mean, the reality of the situation, depending on where his level was, and this is where I'll take both sides of the argument. Like, if his test was 300 or 400 at 14, like his life's going to be pretty rough. You know what I mean? So getting it to 800 or 900 is probably a good risk reward for a long period of time. Once we get above 12, 13, 14, we don't really know. Right. And that's where, as me, I'll look at my, okay, what's it doing to your heart? What's it doing to your blood viscosity? I'd have to look at his labs. Now, one thing, he is taking a beta blocker, which I think I saw someone say.
It says, who cares about the shoulder pads if one is wearing a wig?
I like who said that? Was it Nick? Someone in the chat was saying that he's on a beta blocker, but he's still a beta. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he is. The whole thing's beta.
Yeah.
The whole thing is so gay. I mean, the whole Lookmaxxing culture it's gay. I mean, let's just say it. It's like totally homoerotic.
What's the term?
I think male bodybuilding kind of pushes it to the limit in regards to like the homoeroticism of looking, staring at men's physiques and judging them.
Yep.
But Lookmaxxing doesn't even have the hard work that bodybuilders put in, that men idolize or valorize in other men. These are just like weird young guys that are on tons of drugs and getting plastic surgery.
Yeah, you wonder, like, am I deceiving myself when I think about, Arnold, doing the front double bi? Am I being gay? When I was like, dude, that's cool. Like, honestly, when I was growing up, I'm like, dude, that, and am I looking at that and saying like, dude, that guy worked really hard and look what he did?
Yeah.
Right. Like Dragon Ball Z, like you're looking at that whole 80s, 90 culture, Sylvester Stallone,
Yeah.
Where is that balance? Because I looked at those guys. I still like, why did you get bit? Like, honestly, Dragon Ball Z, dude, I was all about it. I'm like, dude,
I never watched Dragon Ball Z because I'm not a beta.
I know. I'm working on it. I'm on my beta block. I actually take a well, I'm not right now. I've taken them before.
No, I never got into anime. I know a lot of people. Well, my wife, Jenny, loves like Japanese anime. I can't think of any time I've ever watched it. I just had no desire.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z was all I was ever about. So I mean, we don't know yet the effects of long-term hormone replacement therapy. Really,
Dragon Ball Z is test maxing.
That's right, bro. Dude, I would watch.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
People love DB, dude. If you watched it, like, there's a scene where Vegeta gets taken over by this demon guy, and he's like fighting it. I mean, there's lots of like decently orthodox kind of themes in there.
Whatever you say. So is it potential that clavicular is already infertile? Because that was kind of what I was getting at with these young guys and these Lookmaxxers getting on tests so early and advocating other young guys to get on test. that we've already have an infertility problem, whether you've been on test or not, or taken any androgen at any point in your life. But I would imagine, having gone through what his body has already gone through, his fertility must be wrecked.
From what I've seen, right, and this was a huge concern for me when I first came out, I have not seen a guy who we knew to be fertile get on testosterone and become permanently infertile. I've not seen it in my practice. I've not seen it. That's kind of a thing that I heard.
Yeah, those guys are getting on their 30s and 40s, though.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, from what I know, any guy who's older and we know his fertility was fine, but no issue. 14 or 15, no idea, dude. And I don't know if he's running. He didn't have HCG in his stack. So I don't know if he's cycling on and off. Is he staying on this? If I had to guess, it would, number one, he's going to be pretty low anyways, right? He's already probably going to be in the 30, 40th percentile. When he's on test, it's going to drop to pretty much nothing. I would still assume if he got off and used ACG, it'd probably come back online. It would probably suck for a little bit, but then it'd probably go back to where he was before, realistically.
Okay.
But it's probably not good. We'll just say that. There are some concerns about being on TRT long term. There are people who think that there becomes some like scar. I don't want to say scar. It's like a fibrosis of maybe of your anything in your reproductive tract just not being used, like your epididymis or whatever, because there's nothing flowing through there. But you'd still do. I'm just giving you a theory that there are people who are like, if you've been on test 15, 20 years, you can get some fibriness in your some form of your reproductive. It's kind of a theory. But dude, I've seen guys who've been on test for 20 or 30 years get off and, still have sperm. It's not an excuse.
John Castle, he says his nose looks fake. Well, it is. Yeah. This is in April. This guy that we're looking at, Androgenic, had a rhinoplasty surgery that Clavvicular just underwent in February. So yes, you're looking at a man with a medically doctored, surgically constructed nose right there. Yeah. And why we were even going to include this clip is because if you listen, so we've already talked about the peptide, steroid, he took Anavar, and testosterone stack of Clavvicular, retatrutide, all that different stuff. And this is from in April when Clavvicular actually overdosed, and so he's actually overdosing. He's getting ready to like pass out, and he's going to be taken to the ER. We don't know exactly the details of what he took. Nobody really does, but the people that were there. But whatever happened led the people around Clavvicular to be worried that Androgenic was a bad influence. And so apparently after this whole fiasco, he gets kicked out and sent back to Australia and wasn't even here for the full visa length that he was allotted. But during this video, you'll hear Clavvicular is like, oh man. And you can see he's like clearly high on something. And then Androgenic, these Lookmaxxers, who's wearing a wig, who has a fake nose, and again, as part of all this effeminate gay culture, will lean over like, you need an addy? You need an addy, bro? You need an addy? You want an addy? It's like, guy, your buddy's overdosing. Probably shouldn't give him more drugs. Who knows what he's already on? I mean, Adderall may help him wake up a bit, but who knows what they've already been on, I'm sure.
I think that's one of the biggest things moving forward. And, we didn't really chat about how easily these things are to get on the gray market. 20 years ago, you didn't have to worry about someone getting a blood pressure medication from China. You know what I mean? Like that, just like no doctor would be like, if someone came in your office, you're like, hey, I'm taking Nobivol, I'm taking lisinopril, I'm taking a statin. Your doctor would be like, why? Well, I can get it cheaper from China, and I heard it has like, really good benefits. Your doctor would be like, stop that. Like, what are you doing? And that's the issue with number one, a lot of the stuff they're getting, maybe it's sourced well. I don't really know. I doubt it. They're probably getting it from their friend who's getting it from their friend who got it from some guy from China, and they mix it in their garage. So that's the really hard part about the whole research purposes only space. It's very interesting because testosterone is controlled substance. Like you can go to prison if I was like getting tests from China and giving it to you, where all this other stuff, unless Adderall is controlled, but a lot of the other ones, they're not controlled substances. So,
well, I mean, something I didn't ask you was how all this stuff. I assume it's all black market, like they're actually purchasing it from someone, because you got to have like a prescription for retatrutide and a lot of that different stuff, right?
well, so like retatrutide it's not FDA approved yet. You'd have to.
Oh, so it's over the counter. You can just buy it.
No, you have to get it sourced. And this is my understanding. Like, yeah, a lot of the pharmaceuticals, there's like 3 or 4 companies, mostly in China, that are making the powder. If that makes sense.
Okay.
And then they're giving it to Eli Lilly, and Eli Lilly figures it out. They go to China and say, "Can you mass produce this?" They do it cheaply. They dump all the stuff in the river, and then turn the frogs gay, and then they ship everything over here, right? So it's not FDA approved. You can't get it anywhere legally. The way people get around it is like, did you know people did this with mushrooms? Like they'd sell mushroom spores for research purposes only. You never did that?
No.
Oh, okay. I know some people when I was in the
I know
New
some
Age
people. I do know some people.
Yeah,
but no, I never would participate in such a thing.
But it's illegal to have psilocybin, but you can buy the spores and use the spores for research.
Right.
So people do that with that's how they're selling it right now and getting around the kind of they say it's gray. It's technically is illegal, but there's just no major repercussions for it right now. But like Adderall is a controlled substance, and the way most people get it, like I write you a prescription, you get a ton of it, and then they sell it to their buddies illegally.
All right.
Right.
This clip real quick. So this is again considered the top 2 Lookmaxxers in the world at somewhere in Miami. I have no idea where.
Oh my god, bro. Oh my god, what's this shit? Holy fuck. Holy bean.
I don't even get. Are these guys handsome? I get like no masculine male vibes from these guys. But anyways, here's Androgenic's gonna offer him an Adderall while he's literally tripping balls. It seems like from the drugs he's taking.
When did you last take glue? You want natty?
Want a natty?
You want a natty?
Want a natty?
Do you want a natty?
Would you like an natty?
Bro, you want a natty?
Bro, you want a natty?
You want a natty?
Lord mercy.
You want a natty?
Meanwhile, Clavvicular passes out shortly after this video, and they got to take him to the ER. And all his man, you passing out, bro? You want a natty? You want a natty, bro? Natty,
dude. Yeah, we need to figure out whatever he did to his face. Like he literally looks like he did something to make a line on his jaw, and the weirdest thing is that his facial structure is very like large and defined, and then his like arms and shoulders were not, which was interesting.
Look at these guys. Who again? What heterosexual man passes a mirror with a friend and you start doing this in the mirror together?
I don't know, man.
It's so gay. And meanwhile, he's wearing a wig. It's so gay.
Yeah, need to do leg day too, huh?
Yeah, this is him saying he can't hang out with Androgenic because of bad PR. But this is the dude. So he got a rhinoplasty in February, hair transplant in February, fat removal in May, and jaw liposuction in May.
That because his jaw, there's something interesting. Like I just don't even know. like I've watched liposuction. I'm like, what are you removing there? Like, how can you even? I guess removing a little bit would make a decent mark, but do you know what I'm saying? It is interesting from a perspective of like there. I think he looks okay in his shoulders and his arms, but there's an interesting conundrum that like a lot of times these features are from having higher testosterone. They're probably on test, but I just don't know long term what that. You know what I'm saying? Like I was talking earlier. I was hitting on the whole like when genders are different, things that are amplified where they look different.
Topher Toke says they're pumping each other up.
Yeah, bro. Don't. That's why that's the new OnlyFans for them, right?
They're super pretty though.
Ugh, yeah. But you know what I'm saying? They're trying to amplify these things that aren't happening naturally. So,
hey, bro, let's flex together, man. You want to mog with me, dude? This mirror at the Gucci store. You should pull your phone out and let's mog together, bro.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, getting weirder and weirder, dude.
Yeah, somebody already hit it. We brought up the Rat Utopia. Yeah, it is Rat Utopia in the flesh. And it is gay maxing. It is gay max. I mean, we're gonna get to it, but Clavvicular is said to be. So this is the guy commenting. So this is the world's androgenic second Lookmaxxer, has fake hair, has a hat on, has his rhinoplasty and all his facial surgery. Saying, yeah, I think Clavvicular's nose looks good. It's just a little bit of swelling. It's common. It's gonna swell. But where is it? Here it is. Clavvicular is reportedly set to join OnlyFans. So for everybody who joined us from Jortlandia, you can only imagine who he's going to be making content with. Probably whoever Peter Thiel chooses.
Whatever. Yeah. Who you think? You wonder. I think we had said that his parents, he had a little bit of money.
Yeah, he definitely comes from a wealthy family.
But a lot of these things are pretty new. Like who's doing liposuction on a 20-year-old's face? I would be interested. Are they going to Turkey to do that or?
Well, they're in Miami. I wouldn't be surprised there's doctors there that would do it.
I guess, man. Seems strange to me.
Thomas Aquantis throws in 5, says, considering rugby, but worried about CTE risk. CTE reversal predictions. Also, any promising IQ enhancements? What age can I consider TRT low at 20? So he must be in his early 20s and already is low T.
Yeah. This is another thing we brought up, like playing football and sports. Traumatic brain injury can mess up your pituitary. We really see this in a lot of soldiers who went in, like had maybe some type of high blast. To me, you got to get your labs checked and you check your FSH and LH. You can check the feedback loop first. You want to see where your test is naturally. And then you can do things like and again, this isn't medical advice to them, but you can take HCG, you can take enclomiphene. Those are, right. Those help boost your FSH or your HCG hits the same receptor, and clomiphene increases it. So I gotta be particular. People will, but yeah, any type of TBI, right? You can definitely shake up and it can also cause just long-term neural inflammation. So it can be 3 to 5 years for a lot of people in order for that inflammation to calm down and just get your HPA axis, your hypothalamic pituitary axis kind of back. So it would really depend when the head injuries were, how far out you were. Really get on, like I would get on a bunch of anti-inflammatories. But there is real like lowering of IQ and that inflammation and just throwing your hormones off that can have long-term effects. So it's tough if you're 24, you know what I mean? And this is where I have a heart for the younger guys. Like I'll use pharmaceuticals if we have to, especially if you're depressed, you got ED, you're not making it, you got no girlfriend, the housing markets, you know what I mean? This is the hard part.
How common is ED amongst 20-year-olds right now?
I don't see as many. Like at one of my first jobs, I was in a clinic, and yeah, I mean, I had young guys come in all the time, with ED. And I think that's a porn thing. That is like,
which is ironic because the Lookmaxxers tend to be with OnlyFans girls and porn stars and stuff in their live streams. And I think Clavicular is now managing various girls' OnlyFans pages. I
Sure.
think there's like another streamer, Jack something, Dortree, something like that. I don't know. There's another prominent IRL streamer, and that's how he made tons of money. Is he had like 20 OnlyFans girls that he managed.
Mm.
And so part of his whole shtick was getting these girls on camera with him and then privately talking with them about how much money he can make them and then get them signed up on OnlyFans. It sounds like Clav's doing the same thing. And now he's reportedly set to actually join himself.
Ugh.
So I had heard, and I don't have the clip or anything, but I had heard Clav talk about how some of the substances cause ED. So he has to take other things to make sure that that doesn't occur.
Well, usually the beta, so right on one end, testosterone should help. Oxandrolone can help, but there's a thing called Decadic, nandrolone, decanate, messes with progesterone. So a lot of guys who take that anabolic, it'll mess with their erections. He's actually decently smart because he broke down of the beta blockers, right? There are these medications that block your beta, which is your sympathetic nervous system. Like propanol is a really popular one guys will take before like a best man speech or you have a big presentation. It just lowers your heart rate. But a lot of times those will cause erection problems, brain fog, because you're limiting the sympathetic nerve. You're basically like shutting off caffeine in one way, but also shutting off your blood flow. Nobivolol is actually, like you said, it's better at blocking just the heart and not peripheral. And it's also really good at actually producing nitric oxide, which helps with blood flow. So a little side tangent for people out there with high blood pressure. And if you're taking a beta blocker, Nobivolol is the better one to take. But the real big issue seems to be that the mixing of all these things we don't know. Like, people have you mix alcohol and caffeine and nicotine. Those three in themselves can give a guy ED, right? Like whiskey dick.
What can? Nicotine, caffeine?
Well, just whiskey. You know her whiskey, right? Whiskey dick.
I've heard of whiskey dick, but did you say alcohol? I just was trying to rehear.
Yeah, Adderall will do high amounts of anything that is right. We have our sympathetic nervous system, right? Fight or flight, parasympathetic rest and digest. In order to be, and this is for both men and women, in order to be intimate, you need to be in a parasympathetic state. You at least activate kind of that part. You have to be relaxed and feeling good, right? I told you my joke, like you're walking in the woods and you see a bear, right? Or if you're clavicular, you're walking in the woods, you see what's his name? Androgenic. Yeah. Not a good time to get an erection. It's a time to run, dude. Like if you see a bear, you're not trying to have sex with it. You're trying to run. And the blood from your body is going to go into your muscles and your brain to fight and flight and run, right? On the other end, if you're trying to be intimate, you need to be relaxed and feeling good. And that's how you're able to actually perform sexually. And so when people are taking a ton of sympathetic stuff, Molly, MDMA, cocaine, caffeine, Adderall, all these things are going to shrivel the blood up into your sexual organs. So you understand, right? You get what I'm saying? And that's why a lot of times caffeine is actually somewhere in between. It can help with blood flow slightly, and that's why you take a lot of these nitric oxide boosters, right? They help increase your blood flow. What's interesting is I haven't heard him say low dose tadalafil, which I actually like. Cialis in low doses, that increases blood flow everywhere. Yeah, is it for erectile dysfunction? But it helps with brain function. It actually helps with BPH, nighttime urination. It helps with a lot of these, probably going to be for Alzheimer's dementia, probably going to help out with heart disease because you're just opening up your blood vessels, right? Bodybuilders will take tadalafil before they go to the gym. You definitely get a better, you get better blood flow.
Right.
So
Mr. Fist through in 20 says real man Trimbolone Max and look like Liver King at 22.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Fist.
Yeah. We didn't even get into, did we ever do a stream on that? We did a Liver King. Remember that happened with Vigorous Steve? Yeah.
Oh God.
Time flies.
I know. I haven't heard about Liver King in forever. Talk about a Lookmaxxer.
He's too busy being primal. Got him and Clavvicular have been fighting it out. See who the real primal is. He's the opposite though, right? Because he has this very big beard and max. He's not trying to max anything.
Austin DeTulio throws in 5, no comment. Thank you very much, brother. Snagglebeast throws in 5, says, Dr. Mike, are there and how to find places that will just do blood work and give you the results and not push immediate big pharma treatments?
Yeah, I mean, your best bet. This is a plug. He's giving me a place to plug my services. There are a decent amount of places now that you can go and pick your own blood work. The issue is if you don't know any better. Like I had this literally this week at church. This person's like, "Hey, I'm about to order this blood test. Will you review it?" And it was like $400 or $500. I'm like, dude, I can order that for like $100 to $200 because this is the way insurance works. So I'd say, yeah, go to your primary care, pick out what labs you want. And then if you go to your primary care, not medical advice, you can basically say these things. Like if you're young and you want to get your testosterone measured, your doctor's gonna be like, you're too young. But if you say, hey, if you say all the symptoms, like, I had my testosterone tested before and it was low. I have ED. I have no energy. My dad has low testosterone. Like, this is just the way the insurance system works. Like anytime you suspect something and you want to have your insurance covered or your doctor, you have to give it to them on a platter, right? If you're worried about your thyroid, tell them all low thyroid, like you should have all low thyroid symptoms. If you just go in there and say, I want my testosterone measured, they can't code that from the insurance to cover it.
I
right.
see.
So yeah, to me, there's a couple places out there. I worked with Merrick for a little bit, Derek's company. They have pretty good prices. I can beat them.
Yeah, more plates, more dates.
Yeah. I forget I had affiliate with a company for a little bit. Someone mentioned Rhythm. Rhythm's interesting. They do an at-home thing. I think it's a monthly or a thing. You basically put it on your arm and you get a little bit of blood and you send it in. It's getting pretty popular. I've known some people to use that one. Then the issue then does become, trying to find someone to interpret it, which you can always reach out to me. But I don't know anyone. I worked with Merrick. I liked Merrick overall, but again, most companies, it's like the issue is like with everything, like if your shoulder hurts and you go into an orthopedic surgeon, like he's like, do you want to do surgery or not? Like they still have that mindset. Like you did blood. What am I supposed to do for you? Right. And that's why I can do what I do. I just have you, I just charge cash because I can just like, let me interpret your blood. I don't have an agenda. And does this look good or bad? No. Where most people are like, I have a headache, do blood work, now fix me. Like, what med are you going to give me? Right. So that's just the reality of the situation of most doctors. They think they come to you for answers, where some people you just want to know, hey, like I'd say, dude, if you're 20, go and get some blood work done just so you have, like I said, you have a baseline, you know where it's at. And hopefully you can find someone who won't push anything on you. And honestly, like, dude, someone pushes something on you, just don't do it. Like,
Right.
You don't have to do anything.
Well, one of the things I wanted to show too was this video here, because one of the things about Lookmaxxing and all the pharmaceutical use that we talked about is I think it creates very much a mentality that people had for why they accepted the COVID jab.
Yeah.
That anything that comes from the establishment, big pharma, they do all these testings. These are massive, major international corporations. That who are you to disregard the medical advice of the medical establishment and these major corporations? And so in prep for today, and I had never even seen this video, this is Clavvicular lambasting anti-vaxxers as those who harm children, which I thought was really interesting, but sort of go alongs with everything we've been talking about with the Lookmaxxing community and the feminization, right? I think the inability to push against the establishment is typically a feminine behavior. And what I mean by that, I'm almost mean it evolutionarily, that when two tribes warred against each other, the men were killed and the women had to adopt to the new tribe. And they're always more sensitive to social pressures. So in regard to the distribution of intelligence or dumbness, it's always men that are on the extreme and women are always clustered around the mean. So the idea that you just let society continually dictate and tell you like what is true, what is wrong, to me, this is very much like a propagandized effeminate behavior, because it's not someone who's able to think for themselves and in certain capacities. So here is Clavvicular talking about anti-vaxxers. Oh, let me get my mic switched over so you can hear it.
What do you think is with all the anti-vaxxers? Those people are retarded. They want their kids to die. Complete fucking cognitive dissonance. And I would never advocate for that level of schizo, applying different copes that they've seen with like distrust for the mainstream media to big pharma as well. A lot of the times, like I get it, but it's too much, too over the line. What do you think is with all of it?
Which I found pretty interesting. I know a handful of Orthodox people that are, let's say, anti-vaxxers, never vaccinated children. And I've noticed a significant behavioral difference between some of their very young children and other children that I know. Being able to sit still, being able to be polite and quiet when you're at a dinner table or restaurant, where, you know, vaxxers. So am I an anti-vaxxer? No, I wouldn't call myself an anti-vaxxer, but I'm very skeptical of all medical procedures and all medical advice from the establishment, not meaning everything they say is wrong. I'm just highly skeptical of everything that they say because it's, as we've already highlighted, it's profit driven.
Yeah, what's interesting, this is why he's such an interesting character to pin down, is on one end, he's doing things that are 100% not FDA approved by Big Pharma. He's already taking a drug that's not approved. He's taking an anabolic steroid. Like his whole stack is like any doctor, if he went to the FDA or DA, they'd be like, dude, what are you doing? Like these, right. Honestly, it does make you wonder, like he basically has admitted to felonies. You know, that's a whole other thing we've chatted about. I mean, I've admitted to some things, but he's basically saying, hey, I am illegally obtaining these controlled substances like testosterone. Again, it's like jail time. Usually it's if it's like weed or whatever, if you're trying to, you know, distribute or whatnot. But it is interesting because on one end, he is advocating for things that are against the system. And on the other end, he's saying, listen, he's, you know, I mean, he's playing both sides. That's why he's hard to pin down. We chatted about earlier with the whole Peter Thiel thing. But he's just playing for himself ultimately. So, and I don't know, he could just be rage baiting too. That's that's the hard part with all these people. You don't know how much they know, believe, and what he's like 19 or 20 years old. You would think that how often do people do change their opinion? Maybe he won't. I mean, I was always skeptical of like anything, like if the vaccines are going to work and cause an immune response, it's going to cause it. I mean, they'll tell you that. That's why they put a lot of things like mercury in them, is they need to cause an inflammatory response in order for depending on the vaccine. And it's not my area of specialty, but the androgen or antibodies to be created, right? There has to be an actual immune response, and in an immune response, you get release, you know, of cytokines and other pro-inflammatory factors. So is it going to cause brain inflammation? Yeah. Like it's pretty, I don't know what an immunologist would say, you know, that vaccine will not cause any form of inflammation. It's like you're trying to cause just like your common cold will cause inflammation, anything that is causing immune response. So, and if we know things like autism come from neuroinflammation, it's like, oh, I would say anything that causes neuroinflammation is probably going to contribute to this diagnosis. And same thing, heart disease, any type of inflammation will contribute to heart disease. So you can't make a blanket statement either way. I'm not going to say X causes this. It's like, they're all straws on the camel's back. So I'm not going to say like one shot did this. I think it's possible. And saying that it's 100% not possible is, in my opinion, is retarded. Sorry, Clavvicular. But the issue is that, you know, that's just an area we're never going to study or know about. It's interesting though. I did see the new flu vaccine that got like recalled or whatever, because they tried some sketchy stuff around it. You know, they're just trying to push it through without, I forget what they did.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they I forget, the FDA actually like flagged them. I think it was Moderna came out with this flu vaccine, and I don't remember, they didn't like test it properly against something like the old one. Because again, I don't even think a lot of the vaccines, you know, they don't even test them against placebos. They'll test them against other things. I mean, that's a whole rabbit hole. There are people who are down that rabbit hole better than me.
Sure.
But I don't know why he would question authority on hormones, but not on that. So
right, or society. Like he used to talk about Israel and some of those stuff politically. He did at one point. At least I saw it with a video he did with Nick Fuentes. They did some video together. So he talked about all, and that was before he got involved with the Jewish mafia and Bakara, the club that they asked him to be a partner in, and he was there for like a month, maybe 2 months, and kind of got it off the ground, did VIP, had these rappers come, and then they're like, sorry, I don't even know the details. Nobody I've seen talked about it publicly, but basically they kicked him out. And so he's no longer an owner of the club in any way. So they just clout chased Clavvicular, these wealthy Jews, launched this club in Miami and then kicked him out of it, which I thought was quite interesting, along with the fact that this was a recent video he posted with his new girlfriend, or the girlfriend he's had for a while. And he posted the amount of surgeries and Lookmaxxing it took to get a girlfriend is truly brutal. Well, one, you don't need to do all that BS to get a girlfriend. Two, the thing that I found so interesting about the whole thing is what's that little necklace? What's that little necklace she's wearing? Oy vey. Oy vey, Dr. Mo. Oy vey. So interesting. I don't know what to make of it, but interesting.
Maybe she's into Kabbalah, bro. She's just a new ager, man.
Well. What do we have here?
She's a new ager, dude.
So yeah. She's
star,
just new
dude.
age.
She's
bro.
into astrology.
She's just new age, bro. So
astrology.
I don't know what to make of that, but you know, this couple can't have a healthy, normal relationship because one, you know, he's polyamorous. So there's been videos all over online about how, you know, because he's Lookmaxxing and high status maxing, money maxing, as he calls it, that he has multiple girlfriends. And there's like a famous clip where he calls Dan Blazarian, and he's with this girl. He's like, "Hey, I got a problem. My main girlfriend's upset with my other girlfriend. What should I do?" He's like, "Well, you have to have more than 2 girlfriends." Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's I mean, it makes you wonder what I mean, Satan's probably going to be a Lookmaxxer, huh?
Yeah, probably. In fact, somebody just said Kanye West is right. You know what's funny is I didn't even include it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But there was I guess this famous rabbi that Kanye was forced to talk to. So was Clavvicular.
I did. I saw.
Familiar with this?
I saw clip. Yeah, I saw. You know, it came up in my feed. I didn't investigate. I was too busy.
I haven't investigated it either. I just came across this post and I bookmarked it.
Yes,
but yeah,
who's this guy?
Very, very awkward. So he's wearing his Baccarat club hat, and then it sounds like the mafia guy who technically owns the club, like comes up to him and like demands that he speaks with Rabbi Pinto, I guess. Clavvicular, again, the post was Clavvicular had a meeting with the same rabbi as Kanye West. And here's the video.
Hi.
And if you can't hear, the rabbi just says, a thick Hebrew accent, shalom, 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 shalom. And then he says, hi. He says, shalom, shalom. And then he's like, shalom? He's not sure what to say.
How are you? Shalom. How are you?
What's your name?
Clive.
כבוד הרב, מה נשמע? מה שלומכם?
ברוך השם צדיקים, ברוך השם, ברוך השם, השם ישמור אתכם צדיקים, מאוד אתכם.
אנחנו הרבה כבוד הרב.
הצלחה גדולה, צדיקים.
קוראים לו קלאב, ברנדן קוראים לו, your real name.
Braden.
Braden Peters.
הקדוש ברוך הוא בעזרת השם יברך אותו, ישמח אותו.
Say like
all the blessing,
all the blessing, all the
ועכשיו זה יש דבר חדש, כבוד הרב, קוראים לזה.
So apparently Clavvicular got all the blessings from Rabbi Pinto.
Dude, was that look like some type of witchcraft?
I don't know. I don't know. This is the rabbi, though. This is the one that Kanye had to meet when he had apologized. So I'm not even sure what exactly this guy's status is in the Jewish community, but he's obviously very powerful. And maybe someone in the chat knows. Huh?
Kanye does not look happy.
No, he does. And the guy's holding his wrist.
Dude's sucking my soul out right now.
Maybe some type of Kabbalistic magic. I don't know. And again, getting back at the effeminate nature of all this Lookmaxxing, this was a video from March of this year. So this is before his rhinoplasty, but certainly on all these substances.
Well, and hold on, why is he always eating like McDonald's and like right?
Dude,
that one
always.
thing he's like
He's like
down
Fuentes.
soda.
Yeah, I know they're always eating fast food. I don't get it. But in this video, apparently he ordered his hamburger without cheese. And this is him opening it and seeing that the hamburger had cheese on it and begins to cry during a live stream.
His estrogen's too high, dude.
So there's like no words, but he's upset that it had cheese on it. I don't know. Maybe he's just tired.
Did his hair perfectly.
I don't.
I'm a pretty crier.
Oh gosh. So you know, is it the hormone dysregulation from all the stuff he's taking? Possibly, but
Future is stranger than we can imagine, man. That's for sure.
you know, but as I said in the opening, I mean, what we're seeing, like with the entire Lookmaxxing, back to my list that I made of the traditional masculine values, and then how the Lookmaxxing, in a sense, aspects of red pill, although I would say manosphere or red pill stuff actually has better advice than Lookmaxxing. Lookmaxxing is way more effeminate, and in my opinion. So I take that for what it is. But like we said, strength, traditional masculine feature, Lookmaxxers are focused on aesthetic. So even with the fitness, you know, Clavvicular talks about how he takes testosterone, he takes various steroids, sometimes he does cycles, but it's all to maintain muscle mass without him having to go to the gym as much because he hates working out. Which is again that's not the point of working out. It's just to do the least amount of possible, take the most drugs as possible so that you can get, you know, maintain the physique that you want. So strength turns into aesthetics. Competence. Like, what exactly are these Lookmaxxers competent at? What skill do they have? What do they provide as a utility to other people or other men? Just, again, this self-worship that it leads into like image consumption. It's all about the image. It's all about the brand. It's the way you appear. They're not building anything other than branding. And that was, I have a video. We don't need to watch it because it's so dumb, but Androgenic talking about how, you know, me and Clavvicular, you know, we don't just Lookmaxx. We brainstorm about branding, about content, about, you know, substances, or I forget what he said, peptides for performance enhancement. It's like, so that's what you guys consider like a day's work. Courage. What exactly is courageous about the Lookmaxxers except their pursuit for validation? They will courageously do anything and dehumanize themselves in any way as long as they can get validated. So it's just, it's indicative of this entire effeminate force that Lookmaxxing has that literally makes these guys into OnlyFans girls. That's what they are. They're like products to be consumed.
Yeah. How much of this do you think, though, is ultimately some form of pushback against feminism? Right. We haven't, you know,
is it though?
About that. Yeah. I mean, is it the, what's it,
I mean, I could see why they would rationalize it that way, but
what's it, MGTOW, right?
Yeah.
The men going,
Oh, well, they're not MGTOW because they're obsessed with getting as many girls as possible.
Well, you get what I'm saying is like a lot of these young men complaining about, hey, there's no good women. Like, well, screw this, right? I'm just going to go Lookmaxx and, you know, mess around with as many girls as possible. Right. It's just an excuse.
That is their worldview. But is that not what the OnlyFans girls think about men?
Yeah, no. And this is what I'm saying. Is it like, I hate to, I'm not passing the blame. My blame goes back to the whole, the allowance of the rise of feminism in general, which was weak men that allowed that to happen.
Sure.
Right. Then we have women doing their whole thing. And these guys are like, dude, I ain't even going to waste my time with this. I'm just going to go look max. And you know what I mean?
Right. No, I could get why, because I've heard Clavicular talk about how hypergamy, he hates how, we got to looks max because girls are hypergamous. It's like, bro, but you filming on stream, stealing people's girlfriends and about how you're mogging their boyfriend, that's hypergamy.
Yeah.
Like you just complained about this in women, and then your whole thing is you got to looks max so you can deal with the hypergamy. That's my problem with some of the red pill advice, even, is that it basically concedes the culture to feminism and then gives you prescriptions on how to excel within that world, as opposed to what orthodoxy, and I would say the more traditional masculine sphere, is pushing against that entire construct. You don't want to try to compete in the feminist gynocentric world where you basically have to put on lip gloss and get your nose job done, and you're basically a male woman. And you view yourselves in female terms about your, so obsessed with your appearance. So could they rationalize looks maxing being pushing against feminism? Yeah, I guess in some way, but it only validates every aspect of feminism. It validates girls being hypergamous. It validates them being promiscuous. It validates your own self-worship. It validates, even androgenic and clavicular willing to lose years of their life as long as they can mog.
It's like a can't beat them, join them. Like they're gonna play at their own game, right? And this is like, we had this like at the conference. It's like, what do men do? It's like you just got to keep doing the manly thing. Like they're trying to bring the manly thing into feminism. Like, okay, well, if this feminism thing's going to be here, let me participate it in a masculine way. It's like, dude, you're directly participating in that whole idea of the witch, right? Like this is the feminine energy, the archetype that is possessing you not to move forward into fatherhood, to not possess you into moving into actually building and creating. You're actually sidestepping all the responsibilities and playing their game and perpetuating everything they're doing.
Yes, that's essentially what it is. It's a playing of their game, and therefore they'll never get a submissive woman.
No,
right? They'll never get the woman that they say they want.
And they're making more of those women.
Yeah,
right?
Because the man that the feminine, pure type of woman is going to follow is the man who's not focused on himself every time, with his buddy mogging in the mirror at Gucci. Yeah. It's like, how gay. Yeah. So you're only going to get women that are already so superficial that they somehow buy into this general culture, which is already the culture that the average woman consumes.
Yep.
So it's like taking looks maxing to its end, you'll never get the results looks maxing promises, which is, getting the woman that you want, getting the job that you want, being the man that it's like, honestly, guys, the way a man looks. Now, I'm not saying put together. There's a difference, as we talked about in the opening, of a man being well put together and focusing on looks maxing. Those are two separate things. You need to be put together, especially if you're going to be in corporate America or do things like that. You need to be fit, but everything that they think they're going to achieve is actually perpetuating the thing that they think is wrong. And they're just operating in that environment. And for Clavicular, due to his fame, due to his success, due to his status and his money, now he gets to reap those benefits of fame and money in a place like Miami, the most superficial, vapid women in America.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's a selling of the soul. It can only end one way, right? Where they are idolizing the tool, right? Being good, you should be, like you're saying, handsome and fit. That should be tool for you to help, attract your partner and participate in the world. And a guy shows up for an interview and he's dressed well and he's fit. Wow, the guy's probably disciplined. Because I do remember, I did a couple bodybuilding shows, and to be honest, it was super uncomfortable. I thought it is kind of gay. Like, look, I'm up there in a Speedo, and look, before I was Orthodox, but I would push back when people would say, hey, this is for vanity. And for me, like my first show I got pulled into because my buddy who I was working with at GNC was putting the show on, and I was part of the fitness club. And he's like,
Okay.
dude, we're going to do a bodybuilding show. We need people to sign up. Will you do it? And I was like, hey, it's a good challenge. I didn't really, honestly, I would have preferred to not step on stage because to me, I'm like, oh, this is something like I got 12 weeks. Let me get all my macros dialed in. I'm going to go to the gym hard. And that, definitely changed me because I had a different relationship with food, right? I knew what 4 grams of, 4 ounces of steak, it's 24 grams of protein, like all of those things that I got along the way, getting to the goal made me a different guy, right? It transformed me. And I would push back and be like, oh, you're just doing this for your vanity. I'm like, honestly, I could not step on stage. To me, I do want my body to be an external manifestation of like what I'm doing internally, right? Our body is a temple.
Yes.
And that does come off. It's not a judgment thing. It is like, if I go and I'm interviewing someone, I'm like, hey, the guy's fit. Like he most likely is disciplined and eats well, and he cares about what he puts in his body. He can also take that to the Lookmaxxing, and this is where we're getting. Now you took it too far. Now you're like, the purpose of Lookmaxxing is to Lookmax, not you're
gay max.
Yeah, yeah, that's where it's going to be. That's where it's leading.
It's not the gay max. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But that, and to your point, because what we're going to be getting into next is why there is such a beta male phenomenon in America, in the Western world in general, and Lookmaxxing to give them a steel man, what they think Lookmaxxing is doing is providing a roadmap in a world in which the things we're going to highlight: fatherhood decline, testosterone drops, fertility drops. How does a average 20-year-old or even late teen male deal with that? Well, their suggestion is that you have to Lookmaxx and do all this stuff and get plastic surgery, but that's not going to solve the problems, the cultural problems. And again, it's not going to solve really any problem. I don't even think it's going to solve their own personal problems. Nobody knows. Go ahead.
How interesting would it be? Like, hey, if he's listening, Clavvicular, you should come on the street. I would like to get more of their worldview, right? I think they all just have the materialistic presuppositions. Like, it would be interesting to be like, could you talk him? He seems like he's an okay high IQ, but you'd wonder, like, could you run him into a circle and be like, dude, your worldview is just, it's cucked ultimately.
I think ultimately you'd agree. I mean, it's not like he's going to be able to philosophically justify why I do these procedures.
Yeah,
but you just bring out the more superficial contradictions of his world. He'd probably have to concede. He'd probably say something like, well, Lookmaxxing's not about saving the world. It's about saving individual men in a world that has all these problems. But my point is, it actually doesn't. It makes a man more like the problems of the world.
Yep.
It does not foster the character development of someone who is actually responding to a truly fallen world that's debaucherous and trying to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what, when we're talking about the COVID jab or big pharma or all this different stuff, the whole underlying theory is that these things, though some of them are useful and, we can all use them as tools, whether they be, testosterone or retatrutide, like you mentioned. But in general, the whole thing is to keep you sick. The whole thing is to make sure you're never the full man you could be. I mean, you've spoken. Well, what's the status right now on testosterone? Because last time we talked, you were worried that the FDA was going to crack down on your ability to administer testosterone to men.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, you only wonder how long. I mean, a funny thing, just getting it through Good RX, like they started to do little things, like you used to be able to get a big bottle of it for a certain amount, and now they're making it into smaller bottles, right? There's just, this is what I'm saying. They're smart, man. They have this tiptoe down. Right now, their issue is compounding. That's a whole other it's a whole other conversation about them, right? You have Eli Lilly's, the manufacturing. I think this is worth talking about. I'm sorry. So, like, in the research purposes world, someone comes to you and says, why should I buy, trizipatide from a compounding pharmacy? The FDA is going to tell you the safest way to get it is going to be, and I will agree with them in some way. If you want to get Mounjaro or Zepbound, you should get it from Eli Lilly. They have a big facility. They've been researching it for years. It's probably a good idea to get it from the OG, right? They went through the trials. They have facilities that are inspected by government officials. And a lot of people are like, well, FDA, screw the FDA. I'm like, yeah, but you're going to buy it from some guy in his garage, right? So you have getting it from Eli Lilly. I can get a lot of these things from compounding pharmacies. It's a place down the street, but someone can still come in at any moment and bust them. So if they're just putting rice powder in that vial and selling them, like they're going to go to prison. Like this has happened. Like there's actual repercussions. On the other end, yeah, you can get it from research purposes only, straight from some guy who goes to China and then puts it in a bottle and sells it, right? So at the end of the day, I have to defend the big pharmaceuticals somewhat because it's obviously safer going in that direction. But you realize then how the game is set up. It's like if you want to go after and shut something down, there are ways. So for instance, HCG is a fertility drug. We chat about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a drug. And like, what we're going to do is we're going to relabel it as a biologic, right? Now the compounding pharmacies can't make it. Now you have to get it from Merck, and then they double, triple the price, right? So I don't think they're going to come in and swoop in and say testosterone's illegal. There's going to be different kind, like they're going to move it from that into a biologic. And then, dude, there are people, I had patients after that happened who tried to get ACG and it was like $10,000 a vial. Ooh. So they're smart, dude. They know what they're doing. They know how to manipulate the system. So I don't think there's going to be a ban, but
that's why the medical industry is the biggest industry in America.
Yeah. I think Eli Lilly just broke. Are they $1 trillion yet?
Yeah, their headquarters in Indianapolis.
Yeah,
they sponsor everything around Indianapolis. They're like the backers of the Pacers, the Indiana Fever, all types of stuff.
Yep.
So
we got Micron up here.
Oh yeah. We have a very serious question that needs to be answered, though. Nectarius wants to know, is doing the hip thrust machine gay max?
Oh, man. That's only if you're staring at another dude, man. It's fine if you're alone at home.
It's only if that is an exercise you do with your gym partner.
Yeah.
Then it's gay maxing for sure.
Yeah. And you take pictures in the mirrors, if he's filming you while you're doing it, bro.
Yeah. If you're setting up a tripod whenever you're doing your hip thrust, you can be sure that's gay maxing.
All my streamers are going to love this.
Obese Turtle throws in 5, says, thank you for all your work, DPH. I just asked to become a catechumen this past Saturday. Well, glory to God, Obese Turtle.
Right.
Wish you the absolute best on your journey into the church. And if I helped in any way, I am humbled. So thank you very much for your support.
Get him on some GLP-1. He won't be Obese Turtle. Next time he'll be Fit Turtle.
So, yeah. Well, he needs retatrutide because it can manage the hormone levels better.
That's right.
And its insulin levels.
Diet and exercise first, Turtle.
Josiah Elleron, who was supposed to be at Montanica, but was not there. So you missed both me and Dr. Mo. But Josiah throws in 20. Thank you so much, bro. He says, Patrick, everything today in the world tries to turn all of God's creation on its head. True. This is just another inversion of that. They forsake all of what it means to be a man. God made us to be and to throw it back in his face. Yeah, no, absolutely. And what is the most iconic thing a man can be? A father. How many of these Lookmaxxers have kids or are good fathers, present fathers, celebrate being a father?
Yep.
None of them.
Me either. Hook a brother up.
And Sin City throws in 10, no comment. Thank you very much, brother. And Mr. Fist says, Clav is a well put together man the way Synthol is identical to developed musculature.
We did chat about Synthol. Yeah.
Fake, non-functional, and deleterious, but looks close-ish. That's a funny one, Mr. Fist. I appreciate it.
Synthol, I forgot all about that stuff. You remember that?
Yeah. No, I remember, wasn't that like huge in Brazil? I remember these South American guys that would look
I'm sorry, I think it was India.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
You should look up, Google Indian
Synthol.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally, their legs are like toothpicks, and then they just have these like warts on their arm.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah.
Indian Synthol. Bodybuilding. Oh, let's see what we get here. Oh, I need to do away with bodybuilding. That's too much. Oh, yeah.
There he is. That
There
one
he
actually looks
is.
decent, man. There,
That looks decent for the compared
he
to
did a
some
good
of them.
job of applying. No, these aren't. Yeah, there are way funnier ones.
Anyways.
Look at this guy.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Anyways. So, anyways, back to the general American culture that Lookmaxxing, and again, these beta males are trying, because who else would Lookmax? I mean, honestly, brother, like you, myself, like friends we know, like it's just a genuine, it doesn't have to be the most handsome or alpha male, but just like masculine men. Who's going to Lookmax? Nobody Lookmaxes that's like a normal, healthy, prominent masculine man. It is sort of a beta male phenomenon.
Well, it does make you seem like, I know the whole cliche about the Roman Empire, how they all like were super like gay and feminine and cared about their looks at the end, pre-Christianity. You get what I'm saying? Like the whole I don't know, clean shaven and just overall caring too much about aesthetics. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that I don't, you know, the other thing is, from a symbolic perspective, you do wonder if it's an externalization of the lack of beauty. I don't want to be too judgmental inside, but in the world in general, like, you know, that would be like a Jonathan Pajot, you know, Lookmaxxing and the destruction of beauty in the world. Right, where there's like no beauty. Like you go downtown, it's like, well, I got to make my face beautiful. Like,
fair enough.
Buildings, I'm gonna smash my face.
There might be something to that. It's like an aesthetic outlet for beauty on the self, but it doesn't even look good. I mean, what man gets a bunch of plastic surgery and you think, wow, that guy's handsome?
Yeah.
It always looks fake. Like even Clavicular's new nose looks worse than the nose that God gave him. Yeah, his nostrils flared out a little bit wider. It fit your face better, dude. Like God didn't make a mistake. Now you got this like pinched in little nose. See if we can find an image of Clavicular.
Who are the twins? Boganov, the
yes.
He sold, so you know, they sold Pump It. Boganov, but they were like what, French or something?
The Bogdan brothers or something. I don't know.
Someone will help.
Somebody in the chat's gonna know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, the whole like, okay, he sold Pump It, you know.
But anyways, just look at his nose. So this is his nose job, and this was his nose before. So he wanted it to have a straighter bridge, and he wanted to bring his nostril flares in. It looks worse.
Didn't he did his ears too, I think. Right? Didn't he, like, he did some of his ears. Like his earlobe. What did he do?
Bogdanov. That's what. Shout out to Seraphim Goose. We met him in Montana. Shout out to the goose.
To the goose.
But I mean, it doesn't even look better. Same with this guy. He has his whole face redone. It looks fake.
He looks like Scarecrow.
Oh
man, I don't need to.
And what's with the hairlessness obsession? Like another thing about men is we have facial hair. Yeah. And they're like so clean shaven. It's like a youth obsession or something.
Yeah, you wonder, just looking at too many Ken dolls or something. I don't know.
For sure. No, it is like a male Ken doll. So unfortunately, we're getting ready to celebrate Father's Day, and fewer men in their prime are family building. And so this talks a little bit about the decline in fatherhood. So you look at the 1980s, and over 55% were married fathers. Almost 60%, I would say somewhere around 55, if not higher percent, were married fathers between the ages of 25 and 45. In 2021 to 2024, that has dropped below 40% to 36%. So 55 to 36. And just look at general fatherhood, 66 to 53%. And imagine if your father's a particular race, he probably won't even be there. So even if you do have children,
hopefully he's gonna. This is another side quest. He's gonna go off Lookmaxxing. After he went for the milk, man, he just ended up lookmaxing.
Isn't it like 70 to 75% of the Afro-American community don't have fathers in the home?
It's pretty bad. I don't have the stats right in front of me. In general, I mean, that whole, right? I wonder if you looked at that fatherlessness, right? I know that's definitely increasing for every race.
For everyone. It doesn't matter what race. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I've talked to so many guys that are Orthodox that become catechumens or inquirers. They do one-on-ones. And it's so common that the ones that feel most lost right now had no real masculine role model, like just a present father. Not that they're alpha males, or just a man that they grew up with that was present, that gave them some type of direction in life.
Yep.
And it creates this ongoing adolescence, right? So you can find multiple studies about male puberty moving back further and further, about male development being somewhere now around 28 years old. So the whole thing of neoteny, the preservation of juvenile characteristics, like we've created the comfort environment. Again, neoteny, if you have a pig in a pen, it's pink, it's hairless, it has no tusk. You let it out of that pen, that same exact pig within months will grow thicker skin, darker skin, tusk, and more hair. So the environment that we're in actually changes our phenotypes. Well, what does that do to us?
Mm-hmm.
What is that doing to us when we're in an electronic digital environment of consumerism, of all the chemicals, all the hormone disruptors we talked about, the microplastics, the glyphosates of the world? We are in that environment. What do you think that is doing to our phenotypical expression? Well, one thing it's doing is it's causing young men to preserve adolescent attributes into adulthood. I think, and again, that's the Funko Pop phenomenon. Yep. That's the Avengers phenomenon. Why is Hollywood making Superman in superhero movies every other month? Well, one, they're not very creative. They don't have much to create. And two, that's the only thing that people will watch. But why the hell are they watching it? I mean, it's just, I think Marvel and all that stuff is just a replacement for a sacred cosmology, is that people are not religious. They don't have anything of ultimate meaning, and watching Star Wars or Iron Man somehow fulfills that religious void that we all have.
Mm-hmm. I 100% agree. I mean, they're literally, most of them are named after pagan gods. Like you have literally Thor,
right?
I don't know if you can really make it much more. I don't know with Superman, Omni-Man, is that the Ubermensch? Like, literally it's right there. I mean, yeah, and we'll see. Hopefully, all right, we see all of these guys, us included, right? We got to get on the scoreboard. I'm ready to catch up.
Right. This one's about women. This was really interesting. You sent me this. Women who gave birth at age 40 plus were 4 times more likely to live to 100 years old.
Yep.
So in this 1997 study, 19.2% of centenarians, people who live 100 years old, had kids after the age of 40. Just 5.5% of women who died at 73. This isn't probably causal. It's likely the ability to conceive at 40 signals slower biological aging and better long-term health. So
I think that's part of it. I'd also, we would really lean on community, right? If you're having children and you're 40, 45 as a woman, like you have more things to look forward to, right? At that point, you probably had, children before that. And that's going to help you live a longer, healthier life, just having more grandchildren, right? I mean, we'll see. I'm curious to see how the life expectancy works out the next 10, 20 years. If we did peak in the, at 70, I think what was life expect 76-ish with the boomers, right? If it starts going down with Xers and millennials, I think there'll be a higher, statistically, what do you want to call it? I think the average will be lower, but there'll be way more outliers. Like I bet you'll have more people living 80 to 90, but you'll have lots of people dying earlier just from the decrease in community and overall just sense of meaning in life, really.
Next one we had is the evolution of relationship advice on Reddit. Now, Reddit has to be one of the worst social medias out there. But I was kind of astonished by this. So if you zoom in here, 15 years of Reddit relationship advice. That's over 1 million, basically 1.1, if you even round 1.2 million comments. And they break up between the advice being in the relationship, which means break up, divorce, or cut all contact, communicate, give space / time, set / respect boundaries, seek therapy / counseling, and compromise. Compromise being what the church tells us all the time about marriage, is that you must compromise. So compromise is what church teaches us. And you look at the advice, and compromise is actually next to the lowest, other being the lowest, but it's the lowest one in 2025. And look at the advice to end relationships.
Yeah, half.
And I'd be curious how many of those were from women, because something my wife and I have talked about is that women give women the worst advice. And it's almost like they just don't want them to be happier than they are.
Yep.
And whether they're even totally conscious of it or not. Like, you'll hear a woman lament about the failings of her relationship, or the man's a narcissist, he did this or that. But then she'll give advice to a woman, which basically is going to repeat the exact same pattern she just was upset about. And it's like, is it conscious? Maybe not. Again, women are competing with each other so much. Unless they're your family blood or they're a really good friend, you can't trust. A woman definitely cannot trust the advice of another woman.
It's Eve giving Eve another apple, every time.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
yeah,
this
pretty
didn't
much.
work for me. Why don't, hey, this didn't work for me. But maybe it'll work for you. I don't. And did I send you the one on them turning more liberal too?
Yes, I did not. I don't think I have that one though. You want to explain?
That definitely contributes to this, right? You definitely saw all age groups of women. I don't know if it was. I'm in the 90s. I think 20-25%. Like, it was pretty even. Conservative, like in 1990, conservative versus liberal for a woman. And they did all age groups, like 18 to 30, 30, 45, 45. And then you see how they're all just up and to the right, going more and more liberal. There was a huge spike in 2016, right? I think from the 40 to 55-year-old women. Because that's another thing that you'll see is like these women who, there was a really popular video, I should have sent it to you, of this woman who's like 37 and she's like crying on a TikTok or Instagram. Did I send you that one?
I'm not sure. I don't think you did, but I'm missing one that you did send that I wanted to show. That's this one right here. So regarding women, go ahead and finish.
Well, yeah, I was just saying this girl's like crying. She's like, I'm 37. Why does no guy want me? And, and then the guys are all coming in and dunking on her and da-da-da. And then there's some other people like, you guys do realize that this woman is going to be a raging liberal in 15 years. Like, we're creating more of that. Like, this is just going up and to the right. So not only it's like, it's
no, the archetype. This is a Disney archetype. So this is well before the intersexual dynamics have collapsed in the West.
Yeah.
But the old cat lady, every witch in every Disney movie is in some way an old hag. Yep. Old hags were iconic with essentially old cat ladies is what we would refer to them today. And they get into witchcraft and all this different stuff. And they're typically childless. They're definitely not married. Well, we've talked about, and everybody's talked about it for the last like 2 or 3 years, is that Forbes article talking about how women are going to be childless and single by 2030, which is now 3.5 years away.
Yep.
And it has to do based on consumeristic trends, demographic research, all types of stuff that is identifying these women. One, they can't maintain a relationship. They say they want one, they can't keep one. Then they're going to get old. Well, what you think they're going to become conservative? Like, the only conservative women are married women, because their husbands are conservative.
And this is the whole future is feminine. Like, they were right. The future is feminine. There's a negative feedback loop then that all these women who are 40, 50, 60 years old, what do? They go down to the girls and say, hey, girls, prepare, take care of yourself, don't get in a relationship. And then at the same time, right, you want to talk about, I see a major increase in the whole MILF phenomenon, right? Like, that's one of the most searched pornography. Like, I think that's being really pushed, right? We always had this older men with younger girl thing, right? From a patriarchal standpoint, that's fine. right?
Well, it makes sense. If you want fertility and successful men to reproduce, that's a natural mechanism. Older men with
Exactly.
younger women.
And then when you have something like Snow White, so now we have these women who are 40, 50 years old. They have their Brazilian butt lift. They have all these high features, right? And you see this, that they are then making the 20 to 30-year-old girls. They're mogging the younger girls. And so that's why these 20 to 30-year-old girls are like, oh, I need Botox, right? And at the same time, these younger girls who are all doing, oh, I got to focus on my career. I got to do my thing. Then these, single moms, these older women, they're just looking for fun, right? And so what's the sellout? Well, I'll just go date the 25 to 30-year-old guy, right? Because he's not dating, like the 20 to 30-year-old girl because she's too busy on her career, right? There's this huge negative feedback loop that's going on between the witch, right? Ultimately making young girls super insecure and telling them, get your abortion, go to college, don't get a relationship. And then they're going to be 40 or 50 and single. So what are they going to do? They're going to go after these younger guys because they didn't get it. And that's hocus pocus, right? The witches are always going after.
But there's this new phenomenon with all these younger or older women that want younger men.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right? Yeah. So
yeah, and
I saw Amber Rose, the former porn star dates rappers. She's like, yeah, I only like younger men than me. It was like some clip I was scrolling through X. Yep. I don't even know how that stuff is shown to me, but audio was on and I heard her say this comment about how and I'm thinking, like she's got to be close to 40 years old. She's totally run through. She's former porn star, prostitute, whatever you want to call it. And she's talking about how she wants like 20-year-old guys.
Yep.
And it's like this weird infertile sexual dynamic, right? That it's like everything but that which is naturally about fertility and reproduction.
It's straight.
And that's why like older men with younger women is, oh my gosh. I mean, I've had comments from women here saying that my wife's 12 years younger than me. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Like, why?
Yeah. What is on the other end? It makes no sense biologically. You're completely inverting everything that is pure hedonism. It's like that 40-year-old woman who's dating the 20-year-old man. She is then robbing him and a woman, right, of having children in it because she didn't get it. It's just a huge negative feedback.
It's like a sexual mommy fantasy.
Yeah.
We look at all these teachers, these female teachers that are having sex with their students. I mean, I feel like it's every week.
Yep.
You see another female teacher arrested for sleeping with like anywhere from 12 to 16-year-old boys. Yep. It's like, and they're not even totally unattractive.
Yeah. Well,
some
and
of them are like attractive women. You're like, what is going on?
It's an externalization. And again, I haven't looked into those women. I'd assume most of the time, I bet they're not married and don't have kids. They're probably like a 25 to 30-year-old teacher who should be married and had kids at this point. So she has some type of psychological disruption. She's like, oh, mate with 16-year-old boy.
Yeah. Or like I'm still a girl. Maybe again, it's part of the neoteny and the adolescence into adulthood that these women, they party throughout college. They exit around 23, 24. Maybe they get a job. Now they're in their late 20s, early 30s. And maybe in their mind, because their first job is working back at a high school or working with kids or something, they still think that they're part of that community. Or I don't know. I just don't get the psychology of why so many of these female teachers are sleeping with very juvenile boys. They don't even look like men.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing. Oh, it's like the Chad quarterback on the football team was with, Miss Davis in the health department. No, these are like little scrawny kids. It's like, what is going on?
Well, that's what you get. What I'm saying, this whole witch archetype. It's literally right. The devil is so good about tricking us into thinking it's like our own wants and needs, right? So he gets the passions up and going. But literally it's going for the jugular, right? Like I need to go after these young men at 15 to 16 years old. And if they've been told the patriarchy is the issue their entire life, they actually have the ability then to stop these men from becoming men.
Right.
Like it's actual at a subconscious level. Like how do we stop?
Yeah. Maybe it's a demonic outburst that they're not even aware of that's operating through their sexual desires.
Yep. Some Freudian
that's a really
stuff,
good point.
I mean,
That's
the
a really
devil
good
would do that because this is ultimately a negative feedback loop to stop the men from becoming men. Like if you can, and it's the same thing with, sorry for most people who are abused, they end up homosexual, right? The
True.
devil knows if I can get in this
Recidivism
way.
rate of pedophilia is incredibly high, higher than
Yeah.
alcoholism.
Yep.
Recidivism, like somebody tried. So, yeah, you very likely, unless you are able to deal with that trauma and process it and move beyond it, you probably are going to act it out.
Yep. Yeah, and same thing. The responsibility is not taken away from those men too, right? Like stop watching porn,
Right.
stop doing all these. Like I'm not saying it's a two-way street. Like again, if I had to go back and look, I'm like, well, whose fault is it that this stuff started happening? There were a bunch of weak men who, and then ultimately when you look at a feminist society, it is or democracy, it's feminist. It's literally group thinking, don't hurt people's feeling. Like the time when the guy stands up and says, hey, we got to stop immigration, we got to stop bad things, right? Did you see the article? Like all these women are now like protecting the immigrants who are like raping people.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get into that. One of the videos you sent on the psychology of why women shouldn't be judges.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that next.
Sure.
But I was just thinking regarding the recidivism rate that we just talked about, pedophilia. I wonder if a lot of these female teachers actually slept with male teachers in high school. Maybe that's another recidivism. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's enough just to be raised in a world where, mean white men destroyed your life. And so there's a subconscious, right? Like, they didn't let my great grandma vote, I'm gonna get back at them.
Yeah. So they dominate them in high school.
We're the witch, right?
They sexually dominate the 14-year-old boy.
Yeah. Which is, it's we are the witches you didn't burn or whatever, with
right.
the yerba mate.
Well, this is the one that I wanted to show you guys. So this is, you commented that hormones can literally change the setting of your brain is running on. Same woman, different operating system depending on the week. So I tell women patients there are 4 of you: the follicular you, the conquering you, yes, the female conqueror, the ovulating you, the cuddle mode female, the luteal you, chocolate and bath, and the menstruating you. We've all dealt with that version of the woman. But I found this absolutely fascinating. I got to play this for everyone. This is a video on research regarding why women should not be judges. I had never seen this. You found it absolutely fascinating. So let's play this whole thing real quick and then comment on it. Oh, what?
Okay, turn this set.
The brain scanners. There was a study done where men and women were hooked up to brain scanners as they watched people play a game. They got to see whether the people playing the game were playing fairly or whether they were cheating at the game. And the people playing were connected to electric shock machines. So electric shocks would go into these people as they were playing, and they would measure the brains of the men and women watching. So every time a player that was playing fairly got an electric shock, both men and women's empathy centers lit up. Whenever an electric shock would go into a person that was cheating, women's empathy centers lit up just the same as with the fair playing person, but men's empathy centers did not light up at all. Actually, their pleasure center lit up. Super key psychological distinction between men and women.
So did you guys pick up on that? When men and women both watch someone violate the rules, for men, their pleasure center was activated. For women, the same sympathetic disposition towards someone who is wrongfully electrocuted, that same center in their brain fired, even though they knew that person deserved the electric shock. So getting back to your point about the judges and letting these people out or protecting the immigrants who, I mean, that happened in Minnesota, right? They're trying to arrest a guy who was convicted of rape or charged with rape. And the women were surrounding his house, protecting him. And they're the same women that wear pink pussy hats, you know, during the Women's Day parade. It's the same woman.
Yep. Have you, there's another big case going on. I don't pay attention to these things much. Lindsay Clancy, is that right? Do you know this? There's some woman who murdered all of her kids. someone in maybe, I don't know. It's not really something I think Orthodox people follow, like these big court cases that happen. There's this big case. I can't remember the woman's name. I think it's something like that. And I think she had murdered 3 of her kids, and they're all like under 5. Wow. And I just go and look at the comments, and everyone's like, "Oh, poor woman. This is postpartum depression. We just don't recognize mental health enough in our society." Right? She didn't get the support that she needed. She cried for help. No one heard her. And maybe she did. You know what I mean? I get it. Postpartum depression is a real thing. She still did murder 3 of her babies, though. You know, it's funny. I kind of felt bad when that study had said, you know, men's pleasure center lit up. And I'm like, dude, there's plenty of times when someone has done something terrible, and I'm like, F that guy. I hope he gets it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We're like,
same.
You know what I mean?
Same.
So, but yeah.
No, it spoke to something that I think is actually true. Is like men, when we see someone, again, it gets back to the whole analogy about boundaries. When we see someone cross the boundary, my argument is that violence is the expected result, no matter what it be. And here we see people observe people playing a game and then cheating, crossing a legitimate boundary, and the men see them getting electrocuted and they view it with pleasure.
Yep. Good. You got what you deserve. I mean, you played the game, you knew what was happened, and you got it.
But it speaks to then how could you be a judge?
Yeah. No
and
way.
then dish out consequences to actions. That's your only job. Your job is not to just sympathize. I mean, in some ways, maybe it's to sympathize, but the charges have already been brought. The crime has already happened. There must be consequences for the crime. But this is why we're getting, you know, like the African-American judge in Florida that DeSantis was trying to get fired, was she had let out, I forget, it was like 20 or 30 people that had violent or sexual crimes that then recommitted crimes after she let them out.
Bro, it's like, dude, you can't be a judge anymore. Like, you know, I mean, I don't know. It's so tough. Like, how does this system, how do we go back to masculine men, like actually putting up boundaries and being like,
just
hey,
being masculine men and not giving in the BS. I mean, it's the only way. It's not Lookmaxxing. You know, Lookmaxxing isn't going to save the Western man. It's just going to turn him to an effeminate plastic version of a Western man.
Yeah. And I mean, we'll see. I mean, that's really tough part from the biological perspective. It's like, how much data do we need? And it's so funny. It's kind of like the period joke, right? Like ovulate, like most women will tell you exactly what I wrote there. Oh, for sure. It's like, I have my period. Everything makes me upset. I'm tired. Everything, And then they are in like all-star mode. They're like, hey, I got 2 weeks. I want to, you know, take on this project. I want to go work out. Let's go. I love my husband so much. Let's go hike. Let's go work out. And then ovulation happens and they want to be intimate. And then their luteal phase starts and they want to like sit around and hey, babe, get me give me some chocolate. I want to take a bubble bath. I want to read it. Like, how do you have a job? Like, it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, biologically, there's not a consistency there for be a true baseline.
Yeah, especially for depending on what you want to do in the world. So it's like if you know, for instance, there's the stat, I forget, like parole, right? You know that stat, like if you go to the judge before lunch, your likelihood of getting off on parole is like way lower. Like judges ultimately before lunch give harsher sentences versus after lunch. I don't know if you've heard that one. That's pretty true. Like you don't want your court case at like for whatever, if it's small claim, you don't want it at 11:30 because people's budget, you know, people are like, oh, I'm ready to go to lunch. What do you want? No, F you, go back to jail, you know, or whatever.
Right.
And so it's the same thing. Like imagine that like you have to get your, you know, quarterly review with your boss and she's on her period. Like that sucks. Sorry, bro. Good luck. You know?
This next one was a post about RFK Jr. stating that today the American teenager has only 50% of the sperm count and 50% of the testosterone level compared to a 65-year-old man, getting back to the study that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And our girls are entering puberty 6 years earlier, and our fathers are no longer able to have children.
Yep.
So I'll play this video real quick. But again, it speaks to where we're at.
It's because they have all the mercury in the water.
It sounds like, should I not play it?
I can imitate him.
Today, the average teenager in this country has 50% of the sperm count, 50% of the testosterone as a 65-year-old man. Our girls are hitting puberty 6 years earlier. And that's bad, but also our parents aren't having children. Parents who want to have children do not have access. I have 7 children. I feel that God has blessed me with that. And I can't imagine how different my life would be if I did not have that blessing. Today,
I mean, it's kind of a masculine rite of passage is having children, but I mean, this isn't a joke. It's really sad where we are as a culture, and again, just the hormone rates and everything that's happening to young men, and then you have guys like this, who is 40 years old on so many different steroids and peptides, telling people basically you just got to take, I just take creatine and a few peptides, nothing big, just work out, eat clean.
Yeah. And then, this is just an issue in general though, of all of the influencers. I'm echoing. Check. Just that, these guys are coming out here and they're selling their affiliate links for retatrutide, which it works, but it's like a lot of times they're on anabolics. And I don't know. I don't mind Robert. He's a big Bitcoin bull and he's at least honest about it. But how many people are out there that are like, hey, I got big on creatine, right? I got big on my whey protein and my BPC 157. And then it's like, wait a minute, I read through the whole article. And then it's like at the very end, he's like, yeah, I'm taking like 1,000 milligrams of.
Yeah, this is a cycle.
Yeah.
Trizipatide, MOTSC, tesamorelin, I don't even know what AOD 9604 is.
It's a fragment off of growth hormone. I mean, I can walk you through. MOTS is a mitochondrial one. It doesn't make sense that he's taking retatrutide and terzipatide. Those are both the same thing. 5-amino-1-MQ increases NAD, and then CJC 1295 is another growth hormone one. And those are all like, okay, but it's one of these last one that he's like, right here, that one. No, it says last one. He reveals all the anabolics that he's doing. That's on that chart. Go up a little bit, the Excel sheet in there.
Oh.
You click in here and it's like, dude is on so much sauce. Like, look at his test.
Oh, he's on Masterone, Test, Primbalin.
Yep.
Deca, Anavar, dude, he's on all of them.
Go to that's what I'm saying. Go to the last like couple of weeks. Go all the way to the bottom.
That is the bottom.
Dude's on 300
400 milligrams of Test.
Yeah.
500 milligrams of Masteron.
Yep.
614 milligrams of Primbalin.
Yep.
125 milligrams of Deca, 500 milligrams of Anavar, and 250 milligrams of Winstrol.
Yep.
He's like, yeah, just buy my peptides.
Yeah. At least he's being honest about it. You just got to dig a little bit. He could just be rage baiting. He actually commented. I had said something. I'm like, I called him out or whatever. He's like, I'm being transparent. I was like, it's better than most, dude, I guess. But like, number one, retatrutide is just like one of the more popular things right now. So everyone's kind of jumping on it and getting clicks for it. So,
right.
Which doesn't make sense. He's taking 2 GLP-1s. It's like, it's like drinking a Red Bull and coffee. It's like, okay, whatever, dude.
Yeah, it seems a bit much.
Then
the last thing, I'm not the biggest Matt Walsh fan.
Well, I pushed back on this one, right? So I actually mocked him because I can agree with him, but I also agree that we live in a world, right? Like, because if you read mine, I'm like, dude, you almost have to be vigilant. But I get his point. I was mocking him a little bit, but I think you can read both of them.
Yeah, I can read both of them. And Matt Walsh says the health consciousness stuff has gone massively overboard. People walking around with bands tracking their vital signs every second of the day, like they're astronauts on the International Space Station, treating alcohol or sugar like it'll kill them if they look at it, tracking their sleep, counting their steps. It's possible to live a healthy life without being an obsessive, paranoid lunatic. You're going to die either way. In a few decades, you'll just be as dead as the rest of us, if not sooner. Relax a little and live your life while you still can. And then you responded, the health ignorant stuff has gone massively overboard. People walking around destroying their vital signs every second of the day like they're living in toxic soup straight out of a sci-fi movie, eating ultra processed food like it won't kill them if they look at it, neglecting their sleep, never counting their steps. It's possible to live a healthy life, but you have to be intentional and work hard at it. The modern world is doing everything it can to make you sick. You're going to die either way. In a few decades, you can be strong, sharp, and showing up for the people you love, or you can be on 4 medications, metabolically wrecked, and wondering what happened. Take this seriously and live your healthiest life while you still can. And I probably am somewhere in between both of you guys. I totally get your point. You have to be diligent today. There's so many stuff making you sick. And I wouldn't consider Mount Walsh the peak of ideal masculinity and male fitness either.
Yeah.
So, you know, it would have carried a little bit more weight, his criticism, if he was like had the aesthetic of someone who was taking his life and his health seriously. But I do get the point about the over obsession and the metricing of everything. Yeah, it is a form of health maxing, or I guess you can call it, but it is a bit obsessive. Some people can get really, really obsessive. Now, I made fun of Whoop bands and previously, but I personally would like to know the quality of my sleep. I don't know if I could wear it all the time every day, but you can tell when you get good sleep. You can do things before you go to bed, read a book, you know, limit blue light exposure, all these different things before you go to bed to get a better night's sleep. Go to bed earlier, you know, eat healthier, make sure you're hydrated. But all that stuff is intentional. You have to do as well, to your point. None of that stuff just happens.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's the balance. Like, and I think the boomers, and I mean, he's probably an Xer, but they have this generalization. And I don't know if did I send you the one where they were mocking the guy for complaining about alcohol? Yeah. I forget on, and I'm not a big fan of like Diary of the CEO. They had some guy on there and he's like, yeah, man, I don't even really drink much anymore. You know, if I have 2 to 3, glasses of wine, it disrupts my sleep. I'm slightly hangover and I brain fog the next day. And, you know, they're all like, you fucking pussy, drink a couple of liters of beer and go to sleep like the rest of men have for the, you know, all of you know, human existence. And I get that. Like, you know, we were in Montana. I had some drinks with you guys, but it's not Thursday night and I'm like going to have 6 beers and go to sleep.
Right? I did.
Like, yeah.
I was not health maxing in Montana.
Oh, no, I said in Montana I didn't, right? And that's fine. Right. But I don't have a 30-pack every week.
Oh, no.
There's just, you know what I'm saying? There's this overcorrection where they are mocking, and I hate to be this way, but the world that they grew up in was different than ours. Like, you know, why did, you know, sure. And I'm just defending, like, you know, I got on test early. So, which is, you know, I'm like, look, you didn't have a testosterone level of 400 when you're 30 years old. You already had a house. You already had a family. You already had kids. You had fraternity. You didn't grow up swimming in ponds full of soup. You were breast. You know what I mean? Yep. So I'm not playing victim, but I am kind of defending. Like, I don't think it's worth going into Lookmaxxing, but there's got to be some royal path for us to navigate this space, because we're losing. Like, I'm sorry if I'm gonna be real about it, but like the war on masculinity, like right now is feminine, right? Fatherhood's declining, sperm counts are down, testosterone's dropping. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, Matt Walsh, I'm going to drink more beer tonight because that's going to help men win. But Lookmaxxing is also not going to help men win. You know what I mean? Like, our martyrdom in modernity is like having to deal with the current, you know, look it up. I mean, like, I'll look at me. I'm single and I'll be 37. I'm working on it. I'm doing the best that I can. But I know if I'm struggling at 37 and I have, I think, most things in place to have a traditionally Christian marriage, and I don't have it, like, I can only understand the guy who's 23 being like, dude, what's the point? I'm not going to buy a house. Like, there's no women here. They all have, dude, I'm in Boise, and since I moved up, every woman here, she has nose rings and all of them have sleeved tattoo. Like, and I'm like, it's just, I don't find that attractive. No. You know what I mean?
No, it's a red flag, if anything.
Yeah. I mean, what do I do? Like, that's the date, right? You're looking at nose rings, single moms, and tattoos, right? So I'm not throwing all those babies out with the bathwater. So if you know a good Orthodox girl with a nose ring, then let me know. But I'm empathizing that it's a really tricky and tough situation that all these women who are raised in feminism. And then as a guy, it's like, I get why they're lookmaxing, because there is some form of like, you have to be really good, right? I'm sorry. Like 30 years ago, if you're 26 and you married your 23-year-old wife and she's very attractive and you're from your hometown, you don't have to worry about some 45-year-old guy sliding into her DMs inviting her out. Right. That is a whole new thing. Like I have patients who are in their 60s and they're dating 20 girls in their 20s, multiple, like they're doing the whole sugar daddy. Yeah. I could tell you stories about these guys that are dating girls in multiple, and they're on this app, and there's all these very attractive girls in their 20s who just date these 60-year-old guys that will, take them to Europe, take them to Hawaii, take them to wherever. And I'm jealous. I'm like, dude, stop taking these girls. Should be with me and my ortho bros. But these 65-year-old dudes who, they're divorced and they have money. They have more money than I do. I can't take some chick to the Amalfi Coast tomorrow, but he can, and he's retired. So he can do that to 3 girls. So he's ruining 3 girls over the last 4 to 6 months.
Right.
So it's tough, but that's the way I look at it though. That's ultimately, I'm not St. George, right? I'm not being martyred. Like, I'm not meaning to compare myself to St. George, but we all have our own thing that we have to go through, and that's where society is. So I do want to empathize with the young men more than anything. I would be very disheartened if I was 23 being in the world we're in now.
Absolutely. It'd be hard not to be. There's very little optimism. That's why you really have to take control of your life and be disciplined, because that's the only thing that gives you freedom. Yeah. If you can discipline your will and move towards your personal goals, that's the only thing that gives you some type of liberation and freedom in today's world. Because if you can't control your will, I mean, you're pretty much screwed. Nothing's going to just fall into place for you except the technocratic system that's being laid down. That's the only thing that's going to be laid out for you if you just, go along to get along.
Well, I'll get my sex robot from China that they're making. So
there you go. Have you already? Did you already pick out your dimensions?
Yeah,
you already know what color hair and eyes and how.
For those of you who don't know, during Patrick's talk, he's like, you can form the size of their butt, like you can get,
Hey,
you got to.
Don't be taking pop shots at me, man.
Yeah. I mean, you haven't plugged my ponytail in yet, so.
But yes, I did do that during my Orthodox speech at Holy Trinity.
It's an actual, it's an actual detail that's worth mentioning. Honestly, it's like, dude, you can get whatever you want, and then
it's perfect consumerism. It's sexual consumerism, and there's no conversations afterwards unless you ask the AI inside the sex bot to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
We're totally in like Black Mirror, Twilight Zone territory. And that was one of the things I highlighted during my speech, is that this technology is here. They're already selling AI sex bots. I think Japan's leading the research, and they're making them where they can do like basic household tasks. So you can literally fornicate with a sex bot, and then it can also do your dishes afterwards.
I would call that masturbating, right? You're using it to masturbate, right?
Yeah, basically it's a sexual toy. It is masturbation.
Yeah.
But how many of these young men, I mean, it's going to be tough for them to say no, especially when the majority, we've already seen how many people communicate to AI more than they can communicate to other people.
Yep. And it's not, not to down, like it's different than porn. Don't get me wrong, but it isn't. Like if guys are already participating in porn, like how much different is to like, all right, this is closer to the real thing. Like you go from, imagination to visual to like visual, physical to, they're getting really good at, just mocking.
Yeah. And the whole thing. And guys, these sex bots are temperature regulated. So it feels like human flesh, like the whole thing. Like
did they send you into trouble?
Well, yeah, she's right here.
I've heard.
Byzantine Soldier throws in 349, says Father Moses said we need to be saint maxing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the goal. It should be the goal of every Christian. Journey of Abundance. I'm going to be seeing him tomorrow. Throws in 10. Thank you so much, brother. He says these two Chads mog clavicular, to be honest. Well, Journey of Abundance is also a Chad. For those of
Yeah.
you who don't know, I won't out him. I won't dox the guy.
Okay.
But he is a redheaded Chad. So
All right.
he's part of the club as well, for sure. But
Was
looking
Saint
forward
Chad
to
a
seeing you and the
redhead?
family. Huh?
Wasn't Saint Chad? Was he
Was Saint Chad a redhead?
I
There
don't
was
know.
one boy that just took one of the guys at my church. His son's being brought in. He was brought in,
Yeah.
and he gave him Saint Chad because he chose his son's saint.
I
was
love
like,
it.
that's pretty cool.
Chad and Conan.
Saint Chad, especially in today's culture. Jay throws in 15 over on Streamlabs, says, thank you for the streams, DPH. Best channel on YouTube. Well, thank you. I wish more people thought that. Are you guys familiar with the work of Dr. Raymond Pete?
I know Ray Pete. Yeah, Ray Pete's the ice cream guy, right?
Dr. Raymond Pete, P-E-A-T.
Yeah. And
what are your thoughts on thyroid, progesterone, and pregenolone?
P-E-A-T, right?
P-E-A-T, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's an interesting. I haven't went down his rabbit hole completely. I mean, he's like, you can eat ice cream and steak all day kind of guy. And he asked about pregnenolone and DHEA and stuff. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
he said, first one was thoughts on thyroid, then progesterone and pregnenolone.
Yeah. Thyroid, it's funny. Early in my career, I took more people off thyroid than on thyroid, right? Thyroid is your body's heat. I mean, most often, 90% of the time, if you do labs, that's going to tell you what's going on. TSH, free T4, free T3, you run thyroid antibodies, and that's 99% of the time going to tell you if there's something going on. You can always take a little bit, not medical advice. And then progesterone is interesting. I have used that in some men, right? Progesterone is the progestation hormone. It goes up in women in the second half of their cycle, and it just helps with pregnancy. But it's also like a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor. Like, it has some interesting play with testosterone and DHT. And it's a GABA agonist. So alcohol is a GABA agonist. It helps you feel calm, cool, and relaxed. That's why when women are going through everything, their progesterone goes up. Kind of helps them, deal with all the symptoms that are going on. So you can make an argument it's like not bioidentical in men. It's a bioidentical hormone. Is it not? I mean, I've taken it. I've used it in some guys. I think it has its time and place. I would like to use that over, a benzo, right? That makes sense to me. You can use progesterone in that case. And then pregnenolone, all of your steroid hormones come from cholesterol, right? Cholesterol. So cholesterol turns into pregnenolone, and that's the mother of all your hormones. And it just kind of depends if you want to supplement with it. I'm not completely convinced that supplementing does a lot of good things. I did it earlier in my career, that and DHEAS, they're precursors. And but I think taking like 20, 25 milligrams, again, not medical advice, I've seen that help some people, just like with adrenal fatigue. It's just when you're not sleeping, sympathetic burnout, DHEA pregnenolone can help. The thing is, if you take oral pregnenolone, a lot of times it converts more into progesterone. Same thing with DHEA, it can convert into estrogen. So there's nuances. Be careful. Overall, most often people are.
Well, what do you think of this sugar doctor? You agree?
My opinion on sugar in general is if you have high insulin sensitivity, it doesn't matter. My opinion, right? So if you work out and you exercise, I mean, you can have a bunch of honey, you can have some ice cream. I am a calories in versus calories out. Now, with that being said, everything that you do modulates how that works. Right? Like at the end of the day, it's how much gas you put in the gas tank is going to like produce as much. Like that's what a calorie is, right? It's like an expenditure.
Yeah,
of
it's
energy.
a unit of energy.
Yeah. So you can't manipulate that from a physics perspective, but you can manipulate how your body uses it. Now, for instance, if I wake up and I have 100 grams of sugar, my blood sugar is going to spike. I'm going to release a ton of insulin. The sugar is going to be stored in my body. Then my blood sugar is going to drop, and then I'll be tired. And then I'm more likely to go eat more sugar. So it's going to be hard to stay in a caloric deficit in that space, where if I woke up and had eggs, your blood sugar is only going to rise slowly. And then there's also a difference between when you, like, for instance, glucose right? You can get glucose from glutamine, which is amino acid, but your body takes energy to convert it into that. In the same way that you burn more calories running sprints than than running like, you burn more calories running 400s than running, a 1600 meter. Right. So I want to say that with nuance. And then you can do things like if I gave you more thyroid, if I gave you retatrutide, your basal metabolic rate would go up. If you did hill sprints, your basal metabolic rate goes up. So I don't like it when people just say calories in versus calories out, because they're like, yeah, you can just eat 4 ice cream sandwiches a day versus 4 steaks. It's like, yeah, it's the same calories, but you're going to feel terrible. You're going to lack macronutrients. You're not going to be able to work out. Like, it just doesn't. Would you lose weight? Technically, but you're lacking enzymatic processes that are going to even help with thyroid. So your basal metabolic rate will go down.
Right.
So it's more complicated than just calories in versus calories out, but it is calories in versus calories out. So what I think,
go ahead. Finish.
I think what Ray Pete really like you and I, dude, you and I could very easily eat 40 to 60 grams of sugar before and after our workouts. And as long as you kind of replace that from carbohydrates later, you and I, it would benefit us, because if we're going to use it, we put on more muscle. The sugar, there's times and places like bodybuilding and performance that makes total sense. Most people, though, are not that person. 90% of people eat protein and fat. If you're an athlete and you're competing and you're trying to do performance, then I think it's probably okay to have some bananas, have some honey. Like, honestly, even like maybe 20 to 40 grams of carbohydrates and a fast digesting carb, because insulin's also anabolic. And when you spike insulin, you're going to have more anabolism and you're going to build muscle quicker. So yeah. And I think I'm not 100% I've only read a little bit about Ray, but I'm pretty sure that's kind of his opinion too.
So Darth Grumpy Dad, if he hears you right, he's saying, so my gas tank is too full.
That's right. The other thing with calories in versus calories out, and this is how insulin sensitivity happens, right? You have a gas tank and it's got, let's just say you can hold 400 to 800 milligrams. Yeah. He has grams. Yeah. Of glycogen. So the issue with most people is they wake up, they eat a bunch of carbs, and their glycogen storages are full. Their liver's at 400 grams, their muscles at 800 grams. And then if you go and consume more sugar, your body has nowhere to put it. So that's when it turns into fatty acids and gets turns into fat. So if you deplete your glycogen storages and have a bunch of sugar, it's just going to fill up your glycogen storages. But once your glycogen storages are full, then you're going to increase fatty acid synthesis. So, but if you go and work out, then you're using that sugar. So there's nuance, and most people don't need to get into that nuance. Most people, it's like eat in a caloric deficit and eat more protein and fats. That's how most people it's going to work out for.
Disgruntled Docs throws in 5, says, I need SARMs to tap out Cleve and BJJ.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's also, dude, I hate SARM. I do not like SARMs. Most people, I think I saw maybe even him and some other guys earlier. SARMs, we just don't, they're modulating the receptor, and it actually down turns your natural production. That's what I almost always see. Right. So if your testosterone is 500 and you take a SARM and your testosterone is twice as potent, then your body just produces half as much testosterone. That's what I see happen more often. So there's this honeymoon phase for 4 to 6 weeks. So it would make, and it could make sense if you really wanted to use enclomiphene or you wanted to use testosterone with them. That could make sense. But if you're just natty and you take a SARM, I just think that's bad news. And I see all kinds of weird side effects. When I get labs in that I don't know what's going on, I'm like, dude, you're on a SARM, aren't you? Oh, yeah, I'm on LGD or I'm on RAD or da-da-da. So I'm not a fan of SARMs.
So I think that's all the questions the chat has. If you have any final questions, feel free to send them in. My last one for you is, so if it sounded like you're pretty optimistic about retatrutide.
Oh, yeah.
And theoretically, if I wanted to lose some more belly fat, do you think that is an option for people to jump on retatrutide for a short time? And then does the weight come back? Does it mess up your system once you get off of it? Is it something you have to stay on? What's the relationship to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like anything like caffeine. You know what I mean? Like you're going to have an adaptation to it. You're going to find a sweet spot that works. Like I said, a lot of guys will get on, they'll take 1 milligram twice a week, 2 milligrams twice a week. And then, yeah, they'll burn off 20, 30 pounds in 3 to 4 months. And the reality of the situation is, remember I said the glycogen storage, right? When you fast, you lose that glycogen storage. So you're going to lose 5 pounds right there. So most often what I'll see is like 70-ish% of the weight loss is usually sustainable. But it's like anything. Like if you go, okay, hey, I'm going to get on this diet and I'm going to work out for 12 weeks and I'm going to lose 10 pounds. Okay, cool. What happens when you stop doing that? Like you're just going to gain it all back. So what your hope is, if you use Retta, it changes your relationship with food. Number one. Number two is it's going to do all that other stuff. Like it's going to stop you from eating. It's going to increase your basal metabolic rate. And then hopefully when you are on it for, you know, most people are going to be on it for at least 3 months, upwards to 6. The trial was 48 weeks that people are on that. I think that will probably end up happening, which is not, you know, depending on your perspective, maybe in 5 to 10 years, most people will be on a low dose of Retta almost always. If I had to put a bet, it would be like a statin, I think, because dude, obesity is like the #1 thing in our country. Alzheimer's, dementia, cancer, heart disease. Why do these things happen? Because people are obese, you know? So it's going to be crazy, man. And maybe they come out with a better one. They're trying to add, there's rumors of them trying to add a growth hormone or an IGF-1 agonist with it. So it'd be a quad receptor. Then it will actually really help you preserve your muscle mass. But in my opinion, I would say that for the vast majority of men who are over 40, 50, and they have low testosterone, what's going to be most life-changing and, you know, safest is be testosterone and tirzepatide. Until we know retatrutide is through the trials, and retatrutide, it increases heart rate, the sympathetic nervous system stuff. Like, I don't know. I have people that have used both and come to me, but from my perspective, like if I were to take one right now, I mean, tirzepatide would make more sense. I don't need more energy expenditure. Like, you know what I mean? That's the difference between the person. Like, what do you need? Like, if you just need food noise, then honestly, you could just take a semaglutide. If you need like better blood sugar, then tirzepatide would be fine. If you actually like want it, like bodybuilding, it makes sense to take Retta because they are like, oh, I'm trying to work out twice a day, you know, I'm feeling run down. So it'll be exciting. And also, like, you know, it's sad that we've gotten to this point, but it is what it is.
Well, I want to also let people know we just had another question come in, but even before we answer the next question, if you guys have more questions, you can send them in. Thank you very much, Blue Skittle. Just want to let everyone know that Dr. Mo does have his own school community now.
Oh, yeah. Let's chill it, baby.
And if you guys would be interested, let me pull it up right here.
Yeah, I just started.
Use the link that I just shared with you.
Yeah,
there we go. So here is Dr. Mo's new school community. It's called Mo's Medical Maxing.
That's right. Following the lead. I think technically it's supposed to have 2 X's, but
yeah, I think it is. You can always edit that. But it doesn't matter. Anyways, if you guys would be interested, I just shared a link with you guys. Take that link. It'll take you to Dr. Mo's school page. Sign up if you're interested in getting more advice, being able to ask him questions about health, and
yeah, and go show him
doing private meetings.
Go into the classroom. So what I'm trying to do here is if you go to the classroom and then you go to the protocol playbook, my plan is for people, because you know how many people go, hey, what's the dose of X, Y, and Z, right? I think Skittles, someone just asked the creatine dose.
Yeah, well, we're going to get to that. Don't answer it yet.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's in here.
Yeah.
Like you could go down. Like, so the ones that have a check mark are ones that are done. But you could just come in here and like, here's a video. And then I kind of walk through everything. So this is hopefully going to be a big database for when people, I have one on retatrutide and I can walk you through. This is going to be short. These are just like a couple pages long, you know, blood levels, I mean, maybe it's longer than I thought. And then I want to actually do deep dives on all of them. You know, like I'll have a huge video. but you get that you can come on here. I have one going. You can find my Retatrutide one too, right? Retatrutide guide. And then you can scroll and like I talk about all the things you asked me, right? Anhedonia, we didn't chat about that. Some people get lack of feeling, right? Medication timing, you can mess up thyroid, you can mess up, what dosing are being used, right? What should I expect in weights? How do I manage side effects? So it's just a big database. And yeah, right now there's a 7-day free trial too. So you can pop in and just, if you want, you just go in there and copy all my protocols and leave. But my goal is, you see some of them don't have check marks. I'm going to be adding new protocols basically every week, right? So I don't have my MOTC one up there yet, right? I've read GHKCU, BPC, so some of the major ones. And then my goal then is I'll have some more classroom stuff. I'll do like larger things on TRT. I have my TRT protocol in there, but I'll have a whole then like course on testosterone optimization.
Right.
So
join, guys. Use the link that I just shared in the chat.
Yep.
And join Dr. Mo's medical maxing community and get into your physically the best health optimization of your life. Of course, you have to work out and you have to do all the other stuff. This isn't just magic, although they are quite effective.
Yeah. That's the reality. I mean, that is the hard part where people are like, look at all these, like Robert Breedlove. Oh, I'm like, dude, at least let them know you're on test, let alone the 200, 300
so, Blue Skittle asked a really good question. He says, what is the most effective creatine dosage?
Yeah, for most people, after if you want to do the loading phase, 10 grams, again, not medical advice. If you haven't been taking any for a while, within 2 to 3 weeks at 10 grams, most people are going to be pretty saturated. So most often I just tell people 5 grams. That's kind of the old faithful. It's the most researched. Now, with that being said, there was some studies that came out 6 to 12 months ago, and they were showing that super high doses for people who are sleep deprived really help with cognition. So I've actually had lots of patients who are doing 15, 20 grams on nights of bad sleep, people who are traveling and fatigued. Because creatine it's ADP. It's basically a phosphate short of ATP. So it's just your body's instant source of energy. So when you stand up, you go up a flight of stairs. And so what creatine actually does is, if you can bench 225 for 3, if you're, creatine saturated, you might be able to hit it for 4 or 5. Right. So it's not going to make you stronger, but it's going to give you a higher amount of more energy.
Yeah.
Yes. And then if you do 225 for 5 instead of 3 for several weeks, then you will be stronger. Right. Creatine doesn't make you stronger, but it gives you more energy than to tear more muscle fibers.
Right.
So, but because of that, your instant in your brain, like your heart, everything uses creatine in your body. So
I take 10 to 12 every time I go to the gym.
Yeah. I think that's great. I think for most, at least 5 is kind of like, hey, I think most people can get by with 5.
I read a study which got me into creatine maxing is like doubling the dosage, because it was showing, especially if you're working out and you're relatively healthy, like there really isn't a side, as long as you're drinking enough water, right? That's the big one is your kidneys. If you're taking a lot of creatine, but you're not hydrating yourself, because your body's going to add some water weight, because it's going to fill the muscle bellies with more water. That's part of what it's doing.
Yeah. So two things. One, which I have in my creatine guide, you can see.
There you go.
You have a byproduct that hits your blood. Creatine turns into creatinine. So if you've ever done a basic metabolic blood panel, which if you've done blood, you should have had that. It's a cheap and easy one. That goes up, and that freaks people out. Right? Because your kidneys are a screener, right? And so basically, as stuff comes through, your kidney screens it, and then it dumps it into like a waste river. And so you have like your clean liver and your waste river. And when you use creatine in your muscle, it kicks out creatinine. And in a normal place, normal time, your kidney filters that easy. So creatine will not be hard on your kidneys unless you have actual kidney damage. So you should hydrate properly, because your creatine, when you saturate your creatine, you're going to hold water, because in order for ADP to become ATP, you do use water. It's part of the the thing. So you need to have water around for when that's happening. So,
And so Crispy was just wondering if you could check his protocol. He says, my body runs on cigarettes and whiskey and wild women.
I don't know which way to take that joke. You know, one end says run it till the wheels fall off. The other time is like, bro, go to confession, you know?
Mr. Fisk, shout out to Mr. Fisk. God bless you, brother. Thanks for all the support. He says, how much trenbolone acetate over my light 600 milligram test,
my light
and ethanoate base to get big muscle without going to the gym? I don't like to sweat or doing hard things. I only eat chicken nuggies.
Is this, I don't follow the Trend
milk.
Twins enough.
He loves chalky milk and dino nuggies, but he only microwaves them.
Oh, okay. That's your issue, bro. If you want, dude, did I tell you this? When I was in undergrad, I had this buddy, and they called us Hans and Franz, which it's that old school. I don't remember what movie that was from, because we were two like big white dudes, and so all the black guys were like Hans and Franz, bro. Because we'd come and play basketball, but they'd always come up to us and be like, bro, how you get big? And we'd be like, you know the secret? Goat's milk, dude. You got to get, or we'd just make something stupid up all the time, like, bro, deer meat. That's it. That's how you get
venison.
really big.
It's venison that does it.
No, it does really help. But you got, like, it was like, you know how people are when you're like, bro, whey protein,
Yeah.
Like,
What?
no,
What do you do, man? What do you take to get like that? It's like,
I work out.
I just work out consistently for years.
Yeah.
It's almost like I think we talked about it, but I was talking with someone about like, how do you get going working out? Like, I just feel like I can do it for a few weeks. I can't. And they're like, well, what makes you just keep doing it? I'm like, dude, I can't not do it.
Yep.
Like I literally, like, I get anxiety if I don't go work out. It's like the outlet that I use 3 to 4 times a week. So I don't know, but maybe it was much harder when I first started, but once you get into it, once it's a part of your life, I don't know how you don't.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny in health how we have, like, again, diet, we're going to work out. Dude, it has to be something like church. Like, if you skip church, I hope you feel terrible. But it's hard in the beginning. It is. I gotta go to church. But now you feel worse. And so I forget what it is. It's like 12 or 14 weeks. It does. It has to become a habit. And then you will feel bad. You just got to keep going. It gets, it doesn't get easier. You get better. Right?
Yeah. Thanks, Jim Rowe.
Yes.
So it looks like that's all the questions we got. Let me just double check, make sure I don't miss anything. Oh, Assyrian King throws in 10. He says, what do you think about MACA root or maca root?
Yeah.
Panax, ginseng, etc. When I take it, I do feel the power. I'm thinking about starting on peptides, though. I'm only 27, so I don't know if it's too early to start. God bless you all.
Yeah, I mean, I like both maca and Panax ginseng. Like, again, like with everything, caffeine can be very stimulating. Panax ginseng can be very stimulating. I'd say the risk-reward profile on both of those are pretty good. Not medical advice to you, but in generalization, those two herbs are awesome. Maca is actually really good for libido. Interestingly, there's not a lot of great literature on either of those specifically for testosterone, but anecdotally, a lot of people will be like, hey, I feel good on them. I don't know why I would talk someone out of using them, right? And then, as far as peptides go, it just kind of depends. That's the other thing. It's like, hey, I'm thinking about getting on supplements is kind of how I tell people. I'm like, dude, there's BPC for regeneration, there's testosterone for growth hormone, and there's retatrutide for weight loss. I honestly, I don't. It's an individualized question for everyone. I don't have any problem. I think if I were in my mid-20s right now, I don't know why there aren't a couple like a MOTS-C, which helps with the mitochondria, NAD. I don't know. I don't see any real negative side effects or downsides with those. SS31. So it just kind of depends. Because a decent amount of them have some good research. Like BPC doesn't have a whole lot of good research, honestly, but it is naturally occurring. So that's
I noticed benefits from it. It helped me get over a nagging injury I had in my forearm.
Yeah.
Just like a muscle pain that wouldn't go away.
Yeah. And the issue is like what is that worth to you, right? You work out every day. Like, I don't have any super, concerning anecdotal negative feedback. There's none really out there. So it's like, okay, why wouldn't I tell some guy to take a bottle of BPC if it makes his elbow injury go away or back? If you're a father, if you're working, it's like, dude, that's why it's the risk versus reward thing. So it'd have to be kind of a more like, hey, what peptide you're thinking? Like most of the mitochondrial peptides, SS31, MOTC, NAD, those are most likely only going to be beneficial for most people. It's just increasing your mitochondria. To be like taking oral L-carnitine. Like I would say start with oral L-carnitine first. It's going to work pretty similarly. I don't think it's worth spending 4 or 5 times as much and then injecting it. Oral L-carnitine is going to be fine. You can then get a rise in TMAO, but for the price difference and not having to mix it and inject it.
Right.
So the peptides are just flashy. It's actually funny when you think like a lot of them. And again, if you're getting them from research purposes, people are like, yeah, they're only $50 to $100. I'm like, yeah, they're only $50 to $100 because some guy's doing it in his garage. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, and you may be fine. There are plenty of people that use them are fine, right? You're gonna be like, oh, you're biased. You're a doctor. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to tell you.
Speaking of quality peptides, we are both affiliates with Level Up Health.
Yep. They're oral.
Promo code COTEL, COTEL, and you can get a discount on high quality peptides from Level Up Health.
Yep. I like them. I know their owner, founder. I know where he gets his, like, do you know what I mean? Like there's a couple places that I will stick my neck out, especially with the injectable. Dude, there's a new injectable company coming out every week because they get shut down and a new one pops out and they have affiliate. Dude, you know how many people I literally, I'd say 10 or 20 a week. I get injectable. Hey, I'm from Atomic Labs. Hey, I'm from Peptide Science. Hey, I'm from this. Like we get, our prices are $100 and then they're giving a 25% off coupon and then giving me 25%. So it's like, dude, this bottle's costing you $25. Like, how are you making money off this? I don't know. You get it.
Yep.
Level Up. I got all their stuff back here. Bro, I love
turned me on to Level Up Health. I got to thank you. BPC, I'm no expert in the peptide game, but I got quality benefits. I know Newbie, one of the power lifters in the Logos Academy, it's not a miracle drug, but he was recovering from a torn meniscus and it helped him recover quicker.
Yep. Dude, I love the I use it for my brain, the nootropics. They have a methylene blue one, Mito Blue. I like methylene blue. I like they have a longevity supplement that has things for mitochondrial health. Those are the ones I take quite a bit. They have a no pet one, which is another form of like increases acetylcholine. Those are the 3 that I take pretty often, but I have BPC and what else I have up there? KPV. They have a really good creatine supplement too, because they have GAA, which is the precursor. That's the other thing we talk about with creatine. Until your muscles get saturated, you really don't get creatine storages in your brain going up. So basically, you can take what's called GAA, Crevolution. Yeah, it has GAA in it, which is the precursor, and that actually crosses the blood-brain barrier. So, if you're wanting to take creatine for cognition, that's kind of the more form that I would say anecdotally you would notice and want to use. So
good. I don't think mine has GAA in it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, for the price, dude, you can get creatine monohydrate super cheap. That's there for most people. If you want to be nitpicky, and this is what I'm saying. Like, this is $60. It's not cheap, but with your coupon code, you save a little bit versus like, let me go spend $200 on MOTC injectables. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, go and get Crevolution and you'll notice it. It's like, do you know where I'm going? Like, I'm just saying bang for your buck.
Right. Mr. Fist throws in 10, says thoughts on Kisspeptin and stacking with BPC 157.
Yeah. So Kisspeptin actually helps increase, the production of FSH and LH. These are the hormones that help you produce testosterone. There's a couple studies, seems to work. I've had plenty of guys use it and really like it. It's one of those things that maybe you would try before going on TRT. You know, you basically have like, I think you have 3 levels. You have super, just like, right? You just have your vitamin D. You want to get your basic testosterone boosters, right? You got to have mag, you got to have zinc. If you're deficient in those, you won't be producing testosterone. You want to have your vitamin D optimized. And then I would lean on L-carnitine because L-carnitine makes your testosterone more potent, right? Those are 4, not medical advice, that I think most guys, like if I were in my early 20s, I would be on 20, 30 milligrams of zinc, 3 to 4 milligrams of mag, and make sure your vitamin D is optimized with L-carnitine. Then you can play with the more things that boost it, like an ashwagandha, like a maca, panax ginseng, fenugreek. Those are just really totally hit or miss. Ashwagandha can actually make guys feel bad. I don't feel good on ashwagandha, but it lowers cortisol, and that's probably how it helps testosterone. So you kind of have those extra, you know, test boosters, tribulus, D-aspartic acid. And then I'd say your next level then is using like some pharmaceuticals or peptides, you know, ACG and clomiphene, and I would put kisspeptin in there. The issue is with kisspeptin, it doesn't have as much research as HCG or like clomidor and clomiphene. So I like it. I think it's we'll see. I hope they becomes more data. It's more readily available. Sourcing is also going to be an issue. You're going to have to get it from a research purposes only, which I can't say to do. And then, yeah, I mean, BPC, if you're trying to like just optimize your test or just optimize overall feeling good. And I'm sorry, I didn't say this, you know, I have my screen over here. So if I'm looking, I look at the questions from over there. You've had it, like BPC can do so much. You know, if you have gut dysbiosis, it can help with that. You produce more serotonin in your gut and then in your brain. So optimizing your gut is huge. It seems like BPC regulates serotonin in some way, shape, or form for most people. It helps with brain fog. Now, I didn't remember asking you, this happens with me with BPC, is it makes my stimulants less potent. Did you notice that?
Makes your stimulants less potent?
Yeah, so like if you did 1,000 milligrams of BPC and then you did a 5-hour energy, you'd be like, huh, didn't really do a whole lot.
My caffeine tolerance is so high, I don't even know if I noticed.
Sure, cool. I'm just saying that's something that happens to me that I will notice that if I do BPC, I love BPC, but BPC gives me anhedonia and it blunts my response to stimulants. It helps me sleep tremendously. I feel great and like pretty uninflamed on it.
Right.
But for most people, like it's a pretty good risk versus reward. And it also upregulates your growth hormone receptors. So if you're trying to regenerate, that's why a lot of people will stack BPC with growth hormone or growth hormone peptides like testosterone, CJC, ampamorelin. Increases angiogenesis, so making more blood. I mean, BPC it's legit. Like I said, the sad part is we don't really have any studies on using it subcutaneously.
Right.
So that's our part.
Well, just want to mention, everybody, feel free to shill whatever you need to shill. Dr. Mo, we are going to be reading the complete book of Enoch. If you're a man and you'd like to join the Logos Academy, we're starting June 30th. We have a general group discussion this coming Tuesday. We meet every single Tuesday at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the next project we are undertaking is an Orthodox reading of Enoch, all 5 books. Most people have heard about the Nephilim. Most people have watched YouTube videos of people talking about the book of Enoch. There's a lot of conspiracy theories, but few people have actually read the whole thing. So that's what we're going to be doing. It was incredibly influential, actually, in early Christianity. It was one of the more popular texts that was circulating during the Second Temple period. But if anyone is interested, do join us. And if anybody would like to sponsor a stream, you can sponsor a stream on any topic your heart desires. I will email you after purchasing and get clarification on what it is that you would like me to dive into. And if you haven't got the best book on transhumanism, do get a copy of Return to Babylon from Adam to Antichrist. I promise you it is worth it. Once you see the citations, it took me 2.5 years to complete that book, but I promise you it is the best Christian deconstruction of transhumanism. But Dr. Mo,
got a
Other
copy.
than your new school community, what is it that you would like to share with people before we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, school community be great. I'd love to have feedback. People jump in. I like
I'll
helping
share that
Orthodox
link to the
people.
school community again as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I have really good prices on labs. That's a thing. Dude, you can just email me. I can give you price. Like you can say, these are the labs I want. I have packages. I work with Quest. So I help a lot of people all over the States. And, so if you're going to get blood work, definitely hit me up first. Cause I'm pretty sure I can beat most prices. And look, you don't even have to get in a consult with me too. Like whatever, if you just want to run blood and, and I usually, try and help out our Orthodox peeps any kind we can. Nepotism, we got to stick together and help each other out.
Absolutely.
So help out,
We
I
got to
hate
be
show
like the
for you.
Amish, the Mormons, and the Jews.
That's right. That's right. We got to help each other out. And that's in all way. I think one takeaway from the Lookmaxxing thing is more than anything, just be mindful of the way the world's trying to take us. And, hopefully don't fall in that bucket. One thing we didn't chat about would be interesting is like dating in the church. Cause it's like, I don't know about you. We got 10 single guys at my church. And it's like the moment a single girl comes in, everyone hounds her. There is a scarcity mindset. There is a competitive mindset with men. And if we work together, like that's more of where we need to be. And you can see that in the Lookmaxxing, like you're saying, they're all fighting over women. They're thinking I got to be better than everyone. But ultimately we're community based. And that's the whole point is right. We're all trying to help each other to salvation. So if you get caught up in this other stuff, man, it's gonna be difficult. So keep our eyes on the prize, which is Christ. And, pray for me. Thanks as always, Mr. Godfather. I appreciate you having me on today, next time you want to come on and we can show some peptides to people. Okay.
There we go. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. Thanks for your expertise and your wisdom on this particular topic.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much. Smash that like. Make sure to go subscribe to Dr. Michael Moeller on YouTube.
I'm almost at 20,000 on my
help
YouTube.
him reach 20,000 subs. Go over to Dr. Michael Moeller on YouTube. Give him a subscription. And he's always got really high quality videos coming out on the regular. So go support a fellow Orthodox brother, somebody in the medical field trying to do the right thing. So God bless you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I will see you guys in the next one. As always, until then, God bless.